portion of my fort population. Because the stupid lake, literally titled the stupid lake, rains that not rain stuff. So what I'm thinking about doing, because I'm trying to like reinvigorate this faction anyway, I'm thinking we'll dive into this fort for like 2 hours, mess around a little bit more, do some more digging, and then go start a new fortress close by. Okay, so you are talking about, okay. Well, I mean, there is no mechanic in Dwarf Fortress currently where you, like, where multiple animals can produce one meat. So if it's like, everything that's less than 1 is would be rounded down to 0. It's not contagious, no, but it is really annoying. Like, I have cats that have this stuff, dude. Whoa! Thanks for being the first notification of money since FG's resub an hour ago. Cheers, man. And that might not have even been from today. I don't even know. Thank you much. By the way, basically all of the money I'm earning today is the last money I'm earning before I go on vacation, so thank you very much. Because, you know, we gotta make money. You got gifted a sub is what happened, Chubbs. You have emotes again. Not yet for butchering, but there's accumulating mechanics already implemented for melting down objects. Yes. You know, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I wonder if somebody could mod that into the game. Like, mod the accumulating, because, like, because you are correct. There is accumulating mechanics for melting down stuff. I wonder if that could be modded in. Well, currently they don't have any meat, right? Like, if you look up guinea pigs in the wiki... Hold on. KV. Yeah, so currently, KV, grazer and they breed. They're not hunting or war trainable. They're 800 centimeters cubed. They're adult at age 1 and they live 4 to 8 years. And the only raw materials they produce is a skull. So even if you were to butcher 150 of them at a time, you'd only get 150 skulls. So all of your theorizing, like, is irrelevant because even if you were able to, as you said, push them in 4 of them into a 6-pack or whatever, or butcher them 12 at a time, you'd still just get 12 skulls because they don't have any meats. It's not a matter of them having like 0.1 meat or something. They just have no meat. The only thing they have is a skull. This is not a rabbit hole. It's like, do guinea pigs dig holes? Guess who took 3 beers today? Yes, it's a carbon crystal. Did you have 3 beers today? Hi, Diamond. What kind of beer were you drinking? But yeah, so like they literally produce nothing. That's the actual problem. I mean, if you mod them to have meat, then you could just butcher. Like, if you mod them to have 1 unit of meat, then you could just butcher them 1 at a time. Because I don't know about you, but those little feetsies don't look very diggy. They don't really look like the digging type, you know? It's a really happy-looking guinea pig. No, because the meat is named after the beast that they came from. So, if you butcher a giant crocodile and a giant, I don't know, purple, 2-eyed, spike-covered, tentacly... Why are we butchering guinea pigs? Because they're a better food source than cattle. Facts. But we're talking about butchering guinea pigs in Dwarf Fortress because guinea pigs don't give any meat in Dwarf Fortress. And that's why I don't bring them anywhere. Because they're annoying and pointless. But yeah, no, it separates the names. So if you butcher, I don't know, a giant spider and a giant forgotten beast. Okay, say you have 2 forgotten beasts, right? And one is named Osman and the other one is named, I don't know, Put Put. And Osman and Put Put are both velociraptors with shells, and one of them shoots fire, and one of them shoots webs, and you butcher them both in the same butcher room, or in the same butcher shop, it'll be identified as Osman's Forgotten Beast Meat and Put-Put's Forgotten Beast Meat. The soap would be named like Osman's Forgotten Beast Soap. I mean, anything that moves can be used as effective target practice, so that's a null point question. I don't know, but he probably doesn't know Pajama Sam, because frankly, Pajama Sam is overrated. But I think he did probably save at Zoo once. I don't know why I went to Put-Put. I don't know why that was where my brain went for Forgotten Beast, but apparently that's where my brain went. Spy Fox is your jam? I would say Spy Fox was my jam. Thanks for the bits, by the way, Branson. The 10 cents. Hopefully it goes well. It won't, don't worry. The next one will go better. But let's get back into some sort of cult fort. So Einstein's fine. Thanks for the 6th month. You were about 20 seconds too late. Otherwise, that may have tried to hype train it. But thank you. Freddy Fish, right? Yeah, that was the other one. They're all on Steam. I don't know. I know a speedrunner who sometimes, keyword there is sometimes will speedrun all of the what's it called? He sometimes will speedrun all of the Put-Put games. So he'll speedrun them all in one sitting. Anyway, so I was talking about wanting to retire this fort. The reason I want to retire this fort is all of these dwarves with these flashing X's have this syndrome, right? And this syndrome is non-curable, and it gives them a fever, which slows down their reaction time, slows down their movement time, makes them useless in combat, and it's really goddamn annoying. And the thing that's giving it to them is this. This stupid lake. And I didn't call it that, the game did. It's literally called the Stupid Lake. All right, this lake isn't actually blue. It's like 2 different shades of blue, as you might notice when I zoom underneath it, because half of it is this thing called repellent ooze. And I'm not lying, Zakos, it's the Stupid Lake. Anyway, so if you touch the Stupid Lake, or touch somebody who's touched the Stupid Lake, you get a fever. And the fever never goes away. It just stays there forever. And I'm so fucking tired of it. So what my plan is we're going to play it a little bit more of this fort, maybe like an hour or 2. Is it an evil biome? Of course. Well, a sinister biome. So like a lightly, it's an annoying biome. It's not an evil biome. So we're going to play this fort a little bit longer. I'm going to finish the things that I'm working on. I'm going to finish unfucking this bedroom. The reason this bedroom is like full of water, or was full of water, and now it's full of mud, is because I abandoned this fort and re-embarked here. And when I re-embarked, there's all of these dudes labeled as hostile. They're not actually hostile. I think that's just a bug, but all of these traders are just here for some reason. And their animals are now giving birth to babies, which are listed as friendly, which is kind of amazing. Anyway, the reason this lake is down here, or all this water is down here, and why there was water down here as well, is because when I re-embarked here after running some adventurers here because I wasn't getting migrants, it decided to teleport that stupid lake into my fort. So I've drained most of it out, or all of it out actually. And we're still working on some other things. I'm gonna put elephants down here because I've purchased a bunch of elephants from the humans. So I'm like pumping water from the caverns down into here. It's a whole thing. So we're gonna finish building this elephant enclosure down here. We're gonna finish fixing this these bedrooms, and unless like I get really attached to this fort again, I'm thinking we're just why is there a donkey in that bedroom? I'm thinking we're just going to like finish prettying up this fort again and then retire it and start a new fort today. Yeah, I mean, it's called the Stupid Lake for a reason, right? Like, at the end of the day, It's called that for a reason. The current named living dwarves are Sathados, Takonuva, El Neso, Lab Chimp, Thanom, Zakos, Faulted Thrower, Haz, Hazah, Dank Penguin, Stone, Stoned Hobo, Selowick, Cutest Ghost, Space Pirate, Dragon Man, Trizuka, and I think that's that's everybody. If you would like a dwarf in this fort, yell at me nicely, or ask politely, and let me know what your preferences are, and I'll try and give you a dwarf. But yeah, we're gonna try and get some elephants breeding. That's the current plan. But in order to do that, I need to redirect some water, so time to do that. Basically meaning I need to go down here. Well, let's actually just go here, and then go, like, right there. Right there, and then down. So we'll have that little pattern dug right there. And I think what I'm going to do is we're actually just going to do this the easy way. Go from over here to over here. Yep, yep, yep. We'll just put a doorway there. It'll be fine. So, as for the fort itself, this faction is still weird as hell. We're still sitting in a situation where the majority of these dwarves are female. Of course, the first one I select is a male. But the majority of the dwarves are still female. This faction still maintains weirdness in that it seems like all of the functional adults in this faction are female and there's almost no men. The queen is still a Gelder, which is still strange and concerning. But I think I've been able to make a pretty cool looking little fort. So I tried building part of the fault that I had with this fort was I started building a covering so that dwarves could fish in that lake, Aquasar. And what happened was the ones building it were the ones that got rained on. Yeah, closed confined spaces with a lot of characters in it never end well. Also, didn't RNG build a massive dome over a raining fort? I want to say he did that. But anyway, I don't really have the interest in doing that with this fort. I also kind of don't really like the map layout that I have for this fort. So this fort's nice. It's a nice first foray into this faction, but I'm thinking that we either settle somewhere down here in the icy biomes, or like maybe over here where we'll actually get snow. Here, I'll shut the camera off for a second. Or to like over here where we'll actually get snow, or maybe up here somewhere. I don't fully know. But we need to find somewhere else to settle. Maybe like up here. There's also like this good biome up here. Like there's this good mountain up here too. Like there's a lot of close by spots that are, there's also this good mountain right here. Like there's lots of close by spots that are neat. There's like these haunted prairies. There's these blue sand good dunes, which are neat. There's this haunted mountain right next to a I don't know if that, I think that's accessible. Haunted mountains right next to good biome prairies, which are also neat. So like there's a lot of neat spots in this general vicinity that we could embark at that I would like to do. If you dig under the lake and do something to drain the lake and it flows into a cistern, can you fish in the cistern? If you have a lake on your map or a river on your map that spawns fish, if you just take a bunch of buckets and dump it into a hole somewhere completely unrelated, fish will spawn in there. Dwarf Fortress normally spawns stuff from the edge of the map, but with water, it doesn't matter. If you watch Long Death, like which is what I was doing yesterday, that big water reservoir under, well, it's not really a reservoir, drain, I guess, that my pumps pump water up and into so that it sprinkles all the dwarves and then it goes underneath my tavern. Fish spawn in that drain all the time. So yes, you absolutely could do it that way. Can we go to the friendly lake since the stupid one turned out to be stupid? Maybe that sounds okay. The friendly lake, the Happy Fun Times family lake with the floaty toys. Definitely. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if there's one called the Friendly Lake. Also, autumn has come, apparently. Pretty much, yep. If you have a flowing water source on your map, you'll get fish. Although if you do it underground, you're more likely to get cave fish, I think. The smart lake, the intelligent lake, the lake of wisdom, the intelligence lake, the puddle of minds and thoughts from the past. The lake is filled with aggressive fish. I don't think there's any, like, fish that are actually... Well, outside of, like, mako sharks, which aren't technically a fish, that's a shark. I'm stupid lake, yeah. The only, like, fish that are still dangerous are, like, undead sharks and, like, whales and undead whales. But those are... like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Those are only in oceans. I mean, it is in fact the stupid lake, right? So of course that is in fact what it's named. I'll place 2 doors in here. Damp stone located. Yeah, I mean, not wrong. To mine through this anyway. What, the stupid lake, DF world generation in a nutshell? I don't know if it's quite in a nutshell. That makes it sound worse than it is. I think DF world generation is kind of fantastic, so let's just do that. Let's do this one tile at a time. Actually, is there any point where... okay, so from, like, here forward, it'll be fine. How did the game know that you washed your hair today? What? I don't get the joke. But, you know, chat, so something I should ramble about. Oh, shit, it's one of my Plump Helmet boys. This is one of my adventurers. I got a Plump Helmet Man engineer. He's a very good engineer. It takes him a while to carry boulders because they're heavy, but shout outs to my Plump Helmet boy. Gotta love it. It's sad, though, because her left foot is broken. Her left foot is smashed open. Her lower body is broken. Her lower body is smashed open. I think she got, like, stepped on by somebody. Damp stone located. Yeah, that went over my head, too. Kind of bluntly. Went over my head. But currently, I'm moving stuff around so that I can store more elephants down here, is the plan. And then I also want to fill all of these up. With water, so we can have a little trench here. Kind of doing, actually, what chat was asking about with fishing. I don't feel like answering your political question, is my response to you. There's time and place for that, and I don't need to answer it for you. Yeah, no, the damp stone located thing I would never, like, associate with, Are you saying that you're bald? What, is Stone saying that they're bald? I'm very confused by this by that question. Who's saying who's bald? What? I don't think Stone said that they were bald. Is this like a, Larry the Cucumber looking for his hairbrush, but he doesn't have any hair? Oh shit, Wilmer showed up. Hi, Wilmer. Wilmer's one of my old dwarves, and they're the outpost liaison of this faction. But yeah, it's like Larry the Cucumber looking for his hairbrush. And it's like, Larry, you have no hair. Like, how am I going to brush my hair? It's like, well, you have no hair, you idiot. Sure, I will gladly sell all the crappy old clothing that we have to you guys. Would it be possible to harvest the repellent ooze from the stupid lake and cover your enemies in it? No. Not really. I mean, if I pump the water somewhere, it'll clean it. If I transport the water with buckets, it'll clean it. Because dwarves are very careful and won't fill their buckets up with repellent ooze. They'll only fill their buckets up with water. So, I mean, I would have to dump the enemies in the water, but at that point, I'm just drowning them. So, not really. Unfortunately. There's, there's many different liquids in Dwarf Fortress, but the only ones that, pool and are, really usable in that sense are... How do I word this? The only ones that pool that are really usable in that sense are water and lava, because everything else has a much higher evaporation threshold where they just evaporate way quicker. Like, even if you have a map where the entire map is raining blood, the blood won't pool enough that you can fill up, a cistern with it, or you can't really store it anywhere. Pretty much. There's no way to easily... Yeah, there's no way to... I've filled moats with blood before from Raining Blood maps. But it's always just, a very thin layer. It's, 1 of 7. It's never deep enough to actually drown things in. And you can't really pump it. And then you became a DF player. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But anyway, Wilmer says, I'm your liaison from the mountain homes. Let's discuss your situation. There's much to share. We've updated, we've added information to the civilization and world info. Hopefully our faction's coming back to life. At least they're trading with us again. That's already a plus. They still don't have iron, which is a problem. We need to give this faction iron. We just need to find somewhere with iron and make an iron fortress and then just trade everybody iron bars. What's this investment thing that you keep seeing? Completely irrelevant and has no practical purpose. If you can't figure it out, that's okay. It's a Twitch minigame that we've had in chat since 2015. Okay, I guess I'll take steel anvils. Yeah, it's basically just a way for me to track how many hours people have watched the stream for. That's all it really is. They want Warhammers from us? I can do that. I look forward to our meeting next year. Our fortunes rise and fall together. Warhammer. What? More whammer. Hammer. There you go. Here, buy some of my Warhammers, and we'll make more. Showed up and handed you a pot of boiled peanuts? Why am I expecting that statement to follow with, I'm allergic to peanuts or something? I can't say I know about the concept of boiling peanuts, but if I'm going to eat peanuts, I'd rather just eat them fresh. Or roast them. Bake them. Baked peanuts. Baked peanuts are good. I've taken, like, raw, unshelled peanuts, sat there for, like, 7 hours and shelled them all. And then made homemade roasted peanuts. Now that you say wasabi salty peanuts, Chups, my neighbor grows his own wasabi. And makes his own wasabi. I'll pester him for some of that. Sorry, but reading that sentence hurt my brain, Aqua. What are you, I don't know, a sandcastle? Allergic to water? Oh no, not water. I'm melting! Actually, hold on a second. I'm gonna do a dumb Google. Can you be allergic to... Wow, water's the first thing that comes up. Can someone be allergic to water? It may seem like a strange question, but the answer is yes. There's a very rare condition known as aquagenic atresia? What? Where skin contact with water causes itchy and red hives or swelling. In severe cases, it can cause wheezing or shortness of breath. Wow. Well, hydrophobia is different than being allergic to water. Like, I have a mild tetraphobia, but I'm not allergic to things with small holes in them. It's like my mom growing up when she was a little kid was allergic to her own hair for a good few years. She was allergic to her own hair for the first few years of her life. And she had to keep her hair short for a while. But she grew out of it pretty quick. I assumed you weren't... Well, you put a kappa there, so I assumed it was a joke, but you put the thought in my head, and I was like, can you be allergic to water? I was just, like, suddenly very curious there. So, you know, I've learned something now. You can, in fact, be allergic to water. All right, are we done digging out that? Wow. I guess it's because they're too busy bringing stuff to the trade depot. Still waiting for my mayor to get up here. Well, it's just like 100% of people who breathe die. Cooler. Oops. How you doing, Cooler? How's your day been? How's life? There was things announced for Warframe at Keeley's not E3, and I didn't understand a word of it. None of those words made sense. But they were very excited to talk about it, I guess. Well, by that, in that case, Stone, we should all remove our skin. Get to it. Grab knives. Don't actually do that. But if you do, don't blame me for it. You did it yourself. Yay. My broker is coming to trade at the depot. There you are. I'm also gonna buy these books. Or as many of them as I can afford anyway. Moon and Tides Uncovered. They should write a book about the stupid lake. Could often drink water without having a reaction because water really doesn't touch their skin. In one case, an 18-year-old male had swelling of the lips and inside of the mouth after drinking water. Sounds like people with that with allergy, I guess, should just move to like LA. You know? Just move somewhere where it never rains. The thing that like really has me curious is how would you bathe if you can't touch water? That's like the main thing on my mind at this point is how would you shower if you can't touch water? I mean, oil isn't really bathing though. Oil would just make you break out in like, what's the word? Zits. Like you'd get covered in acne. That's the word I was looking for. Oh, also another thing that makes this map worse, we have cave blobs as well, which also spread the same fever problem. Yes, but hydrophobia is a fear of water. I think maybe you're using the wrong word then, because hydrophobia is a fear of water, not a symptom of rabies. Reduces the frequency of bathing and sometimes even using alcohol. Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking is like, would you use like alcohol-based cleaners? Would you use like could you use like acid-based cleaners like vinegar? Like, I don't know. That's just where my brain's gone. Also, 420 subs. Smoke them if you got them. Just saying. Apparently. I didn't realize it went up by 2. We were at 418, I thought. Maybe someone, like, didn't use a notification or something. It has spoilers. That's why I said I watched that. They announced more things. I didn't understand a word of it, but they did. Like 96 and like 95% water. I thought it was a higher percent of acid, but okay. Used in medical dictionaries? Are you sure? Because like I don't know, I did a course years ago and on like wilderness survival, and there was like a whole day on rabies, and I seem to recall them using it. Like I remember those symptoms, but I don't recall them being referred to as hydrophobia. Maybe you're right. I don't know, but like I do not recall that at all. Granted, it was years ago, so you're probably right. Sure, I'll buy some rum from you. Why not? In exchange for more extra dirty pants. Dwarves are finally going back to Wyke. You're going back to digging. Hey, at least you don't have me pestering you for art all the time anymore, Cooler. It's a lot less work that you gotta do. How does one move between Z levels? Like with the view or with the, like how do the dwarves move? Because you hold down shift and then you hit here. Wrong button. You hold down shift and then up or down. Greater than or less than bracket. So period and comma. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure you could, but it doesn't sound pleasant. How's that? Like, it doesn't seem very effective to me, and it doesn't seem pleasant in the slightest. I mean, washing a dead body in oil is also a lot different than washing a live person in oil, because you're also trying to, like, soften this skin and make them seem alive again, but whatever. But whatever. It's weird subject that I don't know anything about, so I shouldn't talk about it. Sounds more like a problem for me than for you. Well, I mean, it is a problem for me and it sucks. To be honest with you, it is in fact a problem for me, and it fucking sucks, man. But, like, as an example, as somebody with oily skin, if I were to bathe in oil, I would be so covered in acne, I wouldn't be able to move. So. Like, I would get acne where the sun don't shine. Yeah, also it slows down the decays of bodies. I'm not certain that that's a good comparison to make, but also, like I said, I have no idea what I'm talking about in this subject, so. All right. A few seconds here, we can get some water flowing. We're going to be dumping it down into our, well, right next to our elephant pit. Because, yeah, I thought that, like, the pouring of oils on corpses was also, like, part of the a light mummification process to keep them from decaying. It's like if you soak meats in oil, it doesn't go bad as quickly. It also makes it tasty. It's like part of why we marinate food is to stop it from decaying. All right, so with all that done, wait for this dwarf to leave here. I'm going to lock the door, make it not pet passable, and then we open this up. So I pull this little lever. Where'd it go? Shit, there it is. Pull that lever, and then this will open up our golden floodgate here, which is a finely crafted golden floodgate, which will release the water down into my elephant enclosure, so I can move more elephants down here. And here come the water. Well, duh. not to be mean or anything, Orange, but duh. No, really. Drying is like the go-to form of preservation for meats. Well, I mean, one of my favorite examples of food that used to be used for poor people is okay, in Eastern Canada, in the Maritimes, lobster was considered to be the poor people's food. And it was the most accessible, cheapest, and easiest to get in large quantities food. And it was the primary source of food for the prisons as well. Because there was so many lobsters in the ocean that they just washed up onto the shore. Then, at the time, the food that wealthy people ate was bologna and salami, because that was the processed food that was way harder to make and wasn't the, like, peasant food that you'd get from the sea, right? So because of that, for a very long time, it was considered like a lavish, luxurious thing to get bologna or salami or any kind of cured meat or sausage on your sandwich or with your lunch midway through the day when you were done working the fields or fishing boats or whatever. Whereas all the poor people, they had to go to the beach and boil a lobster. It's like almost the equivalent of eating roadkill. But the kind of sad part is because they became a very common foodstuffs that a lot of people consumed, from there, it then moved towards, oh, well, there's a lot of these, so we'll fish for them. People started fishing for them, and I've got a gem setter in a strange mood who probably wants a gem cutter's shop, which I don't actually have right now, so real quick. At least I don't think I have one. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have. So then people started fishing for them, and then they overfished them, and they ceased being as common, and then over time they got harder and harder to catch, and they stopped becoming an easily accessible crop very quickly, and then give or take 100 years, and they're hard to find now, and they don't wash up on the beach anymore because we've eaten so many of them, and now they're a delicacy again. What a bunch of baloney. Well. In the U.S., there used to be schools of fish that were 200 miles long and 200 miles wide. There were reports of World War II anti-submarine flights after the war, caught them all and used them for chicken feed and fertilizer and fish meal. They're mostly gone now because humans are terrible. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, like, here in Vancouver, also, we've just gotten new arrivals. Look at that. I think that, what's the word? Waking up this faction with adventure mode actually worked, which is good. The dwarves are actively moving about again, which is really nice to see. But the other thing that I was going to say is that, like here in BC, in Canada, the Fraser River, which is the big river that runs through the Fraser Valley, close to where I live, which is the river that I can see from my house if I take, if I walk 2 blocks up the street around the tall buildings. There's a river there, which used to have salmon runs that were so thick that you couldn't see the water anymore. It's been about, 100 years since those days, but there's some early photos and pictures and drawings of schools of salmon covering the entire river. And it's, we don't live in that world anymore, unfortunately. But, overfishing, that's a fun subject. But, yeah, I don't know. It just, it kind of made me think about that with the jerky and cured meats. Stuff that was, like, meant to make food last is now more expensive because they're more complicated procedures. But the reason they're more expensive is because they're mass-produced, right? It's not something that you make in your home. If you, like, have a farm and you butcher an animal and you make your own jerky, one, it'll taste way better. Moldath has begun a mysterious construction. All right, well, what did you... Literally rough bone opals. Well, good luck there, Dwarf. Good luck, dude. What's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, anyway, it is kind of shitty and sad that that's the case. Yeah, I get you, Migar. I don't really want to think about it too much more, to be completely honest with you. Conversation has moved on. But speaking about a bunch of baloney, though. Baloney sucked back then, and it sucks now. I don't like baloney. Screw baloney. That's kind of disgusting. I'm going to let this water kind of hit closer to the edge of that little waterway. Then I'm going to redirect the water over slightly more into that little, like, hole that I have around the edge of this, and then we'll fill this up with water, and then from there, we'll have a little natural trough, and I think it'll be lovely. Looking forward to it. But, Upton Sinclair Ruined Bologna. I'm assuming that's a name. I don't know who that is or why they ruined bologna. I just think bologna's not very good. I mean, it's that simple. It's just like, yo, hey, it's a shitty sausage. All right, I can pull the lever again and redirect you, which is what I'm going to do. And Moldath, the gem setter, check, can I get a round of beers for this artifact? First artifact of the day, has created Vakarolath Agom Lilicid, a perfect bone opal, and claims it as an heirloom for the family, because it's about family. Urnbolt's The Natural Clashes is the name of it. It's worth 24,000 Zathal. This is a perfect bone opal. All crafts dwarf ship is of the highest quality. It is encircled with bands of square-cut bone opals. Glorious, beautiful, wonderful. Glorious, beautiful, and wonderful. Sinclair wrote a book called The Jungle that covered meat packing in Chicago, 1906. Oh, and it made everybody feel grossed out by bologna? Is that what you're suggesting? I mean, I don't need a book to feel grossed out by bologna, but if that's the suggestion being thrown out here. Right, so I guess we're gonna go to right here. Boiled peanuts are fantastic. You know, I feel like I should eat some boiled peanuts again, because the last time I boiled peanuts was when I was a kind of a little kid. Because my older sister's like anaphylactically allergic to peanuts, so I didn't eat a lot of peanuts when I was younger. Or while growing up, I guess, just in general. And because my older sister was super fucking allergic to peanuts, it just wasn't something I got to eat very often. And so my first real exposures to peanuts was after I was an adult, and as a kid, because of my like lack of exposure to peanuts, I didn't like peanuts very much as a little kid. And it took me a really long time to start enjoying peanuts. And I would still say that peanuts are like maybe my least favorite of like that style of foodstuffs, if I had to choose. Maybe I should try those again, because I really didn't like them when I was little. This is a bit controversial in this chat, but I fucking hate peanut butter. I think it's kind of gross. So like, there's that. Yeah, no, I can agree. I can agree with that, Aqua. It seems like something you'd have with Christmas. Because, like, something we used to do for Christmas specifically was boiled chestnuts. See, this is the way this conversation goes every single time we've had this conversation, Frog. And I've had this conversation with chat dozens of times. Industrial peanut butter is gross. Homemade peanut butter, which I've had made by a friend of mine, is also gross. Small batch, organic, fancy peanut butter is also gross. And everything in between is also gross. Like, I've literally never had and I've had many different kinds of peanut butter. I've tried. I've tried. I've had chunky, I've had smooth, I've had crunchy, I've had stuff that literally has bits of peanut in it. It's the taste and texture. I like almond butter, and I like cashew butter. I do not like peanut butter. Like, I have almond butter in my cupboard right now, and I had some on toast for breakfast with my oatmeal. And I really like almond butter. I do not like peanut butter. There's something about it. It's like eating sandpaper. It's unpleasant. I don't understand why people enjoy it. Almond butter is also way more expensive, so there is that. especially in buddies, maybe as an ingredient in something else. I mean, I like peanut butter cookies. I'm trying to think, what do I like peanut butter in? I like peanut butter pancakes, peanut butter cookies. What else have I had that has peanut butter in it? Peanut butter waffles, but that's basically the same as peanut butter pancake. I've had peanut butter in a crepe with like various other things. That was tasty. I've had other formats have I had peanut butter in? I don't know. I'll think of them and I'll mention them as they come up. But I like peanut butter in things. It's like it's fine in like I don't even mind Reese's Pieces or like Reese's peanut butter cups or fancier peanut butter cups for that. I prefer fancier peanut butter cups. But a war elephant attacks a stray turkey hen. That's not a fair fight. I mean, I bought this fancy organic, like, small batch peanut butter thing as my last attempt to get into peanut butter. I don't know, like, because my ex-girlfriend who I used to live with, or who used to live here with me, was obsessed with peanut butter and fucking loved peanut butter. So because of her, I tried, like, every single possible iteration and way that you can possibly eat peanut butter just to try and have something else in common with my ex-girlfriend, right? And like we went through everything. Like I bought soup, like her friend made peanut butter for us once. I bought fancy organic, like small batch peanut butter, smooth and chunky versions, and tried both of them. And like, I don't know, they trigger a gag reflex. It's hard to explain. I don't like peanut butter. Barbecue roasted peanuts, fucking all day, every day I'll eat those. Those are great. So just plain salted peanuts, absolutely I'll eat those. Those are delicious. Peanut butter, kind of gross. See, I like coconut. I could eat, I don't eat coconut because it's extremely unsustainable. But I like coconut. Coconut's delicious. Yeah, but you like Marmite, so. So when it comes to controversial taste opinions, you like Marmite. Oh, I like peanut butter roasted tofu. I went to a what's it called? A Vietnamese restaurant once, and they had a tofu peanut butter sauce appetizer thing, which was delicious. So I do like that. Like I like a peanut. Actually, I like a peanut oil and I like a peanut sauce. I've heard that Vegemite is great. I have no idea what Vegemite tastes like, so I've never had it. I need to like something I need to do at some point is I need to just go out and buy a jar of Vegemite. It's kind of expensive here, but I should go out and buy a jar of Vegemite and just like eat some Vegemite on stream and give you guys a review of Vegemite and also Marmite. I need to get both of those things. Coconut is the only food that if I don't know it is in it, that once it's in my body, once your body notices it, you auto spit it out and you think you might have the control. Like, you lose your interest in it. Yeah, that's fair. It's a mild allergy even. I mean, coconut's a weird flavor. Like, I fully understand why people don't like coconut. Like, that one makes a lot of sense to me. Like, there's some food things that, like, make total sense to me, right? Like, as an example of one that never made sense to me. My ex hated potatoes. Couldn't eat potatoes. Like, she'd look like she'd want to throw up if she accidentally ate a potato or a soup with potato in it or something. She hated potatoes. So it made cooking very difficult. Especially because, like, I have a lot of Irish heritage. So it made cooking difficult. Irish and Dutch is, like, most of my family. And German. So I had to learn how to cook a lot of new things while living with her. But that one I never fully understood. It's like, oh, it's the texture of it. It's like, the texture of potatoes is lovely. But when it comes to, you know, coconut, I get it. Coconut's a weird one. Yeah, okay, that's another one I don't understand. Whenever I run into somebody who hates mushrooms, I get sad. Like I get sad for you because mushrooms are the greatest thing on earth. Just kind of period. Mushrooms are wonderful. But oh well, more for me, I suppose. Where did I put that? Over here. Yeah, right. Duh. Pull the lever. It's not the wrong lever. But at the end of the day, you know, food dislikes are not logical. Right? Sometimes your body just rejects a thing and you just can't eat it. Although there was like a study that I was reading relatively recently about food likes and dislikes, and that it's often a parenting problem, and also the diet that we are fed as a small child. Like, if you are completely not used to eating food in a certain format, it becomes repulsive, even if you're not like the study basically proved that very large portion of the Western world, if they're given like Indian food, like curry, for example, they won't want to eat it, or they just won't like it because they're predisposed to assume that they will hate it. It's actually really sad. It's also the reason why some people like it took me years to convince my dad to eat sushi. And the way I got my dad to start eating sushi, believe it or not, was poke bowls. You know, the thing that you throw at the little monster, and then it goes into a ball, and then you can train it to fight with the other monster. But no, seriously, though, poke bowls, which is just like deconstructed sushi, right? Like, it's just all of the things that you would have in sushi, minus the part where it's sushi, right? It's all of the individual pieces of sushi just put into a bowl. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let this fill up, and then we're going to let it overflow slightly. I'm going to hide all these boulders down here so I don't have to stare at them forever. The only food that you don't like are pickles? Okay, I'll eat all your pickles then. Thank you. Can't figure out how to build an airlock fast enough in stationers before your mushrooms and your starter supplies decay. I'm about to build a fridge just to try to keep them long enough to farm rather than eat them. I've never... Should I play stationers? Would I enjoy stationers? Every time I look at stationers, I think, man, I would like this. And then I look at what you actually have to do to play stationers, and I go, nah. That too, Red Dragon. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of an example. My ex insisted that she would hate squash. She insisted that she would hate squash and pumpkin because her parents used to feed her canned pumpkin and canned squash. Insisted she hated it, like refused to eat it. And then one year I was just like, hey, honey, I'm making acorn squash and you're going to eat it for dinner. And I put like fucking brown sugar and butter in them, which is like the way you make them taste like candy, right? And then for years, I like every single time like squash was in season, I was like, when are you making squash? Durians are amazing. Anybody who dislikes durians are just wrong. The problem with saying it's an element of genetics, though, or rather, I don't know if you mean... I think largely, like, the problem with food is parenting. Like, if your parents are bad cooks, you will dislike a lot of food. For illogical reasons. Something called microsalts? You mean like the salt content of a fruit? Sounds like a good thing to do. Enjoy your fried chicken. Fast hat. Also, winter is upon us. You don't mind pickles by itself, but for some reason you can't stand pickles on food. The thing with pickles And the thing that I never fully understand with people who don't like pickles is there is so many different kinds of pickles. For one thing, you can pickle almost anything. For like, maybe you don't like pickled cucumbers, but like pickles is like saying that you don't like eating bread, because there is white bread, brown bread, rye bread, sourdough, buns, baguettes, different shapes and sizes change it. Pretzels are bread, buns are bread, hot dog buns are bread. Like, or like saying you don't like cheese, because there's a billion different kinds of cheese. And it's like, all right, maybe all you've ever had in your life is cottage cheese. So maybe all you've had in your life is really shitty pickles. And I've had some really shitty pickles that I don't like. It's a really weird sound going on outside. You know, there's this line from a bad movie where a guy like leans over to another guy and he goes, "Sounds like a dog with its dick stuck in a vacuum cleaner." I want to say it might have actually been super bad. Anyway, I can't remember what movie that's from. But anyway, that's what it sounded like. Those weird, like, kind of wheezing barking. Doesn't help that there's also sirens in the background, but that's because I live close to a police station, so I just hear sirens frequently anyway. Yeah, but okay, Basthead, here's the thing, though. Are you talking about sweet and sour pickles? Are you talking about garlic pickles? Are you talking about salt pickles? Are you talking about vinegar pickles? Are you talking about onion pickles? Are you talking about, like, there's like 150 different ways to pickle a cucumber that all taste completely different with different textures. Are you talking about spear pickles? Are you talking about sliced pickles? Are you talking about whole pickles? Most people think of vinegar dill pickles, yeah, but like, are you talking about mini gherkins? Are you talking about Polish style pickling? Are we talking about German style pickling? Are we talking about Dutch style pickling? Are we talking about Irish style pickling? Like, are you talking about fermented pickles? Because that's a completely different way of pickling that comes with a completely different flavor profile. Also, I'm gonna go close my sliding glass door because I'm getting tired of hearing this weird quacking sound. I think it's like a piece of machinery. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm gonna go shut the door. Hold on a second. After some closer inspection, it is certainly coming from the construction zone across the street. And it's a weird saw sort of thing. So, but yeah, we're pumping water. We're not pumping water, but moving water down here, just to have a nice little water feature in with my elephant enclosure. Oh, I mean, McDonald's pickles are disgusting. Like, I'm right there with you. Absolutely right there with you. McDonald's pickles are nasty. They're awful. And a vile force of darkness has arrived. I can't fight them. Most likely. Although there isn't that many of them. Got some green boys. Where are they from? It's an image, finely designed image of a goblet. The image is the symbol of the dread of scrapes, a goblin civilization. It is made from lemonite. Well, that's fancy. Interesting that they made it from lemonite. Seems to just be a whole bunch of scouts, though. Where did I put that lever? I think it was that one. Pretty sure it was that one. That's the front door, right? Somebody pull the lever. Which means they get to fight with my war elephants up on the surface. Yeah, Outpost Liaison has entered a martial trance. Well, that's not good. And there's teeth. Oh, there he is. There's teeth everywhere. Fortunately, it's not Wilmer. Seems to just be getting hit with bolts. He's turning into a pincushion. Did, however, grab a goblin by the head and shook him around. But how actually did this combat go? The Outpost Liaison bites the goblin in the head, but the attack is deflected by the goblin bowman's copper cap. But he latches on firmly, and then shakes the goblin around by the head, tearing apart the head's fat and bruising the muscle. And the tendon in the skull has been torn. The Outpost Liaison shakes the goblin bowman around by the head, tearing apart the head's fat and bruising the muscle. A tendon in the skull has been torn. The Outpost Liaison bites the goblin bowman in the head, but the attack is deflected by the goblin bowman's copper cap. Latches on firmly, shakes the goblin around by the head, tearing apart the fat and bruising the muscle. A tendon in the skull has been torn. The Outpost Liaison shakes the bowman around by the head, tearing apart the head's fat and bruising the muscle. A tendon in the skull has been torn. A flying bolt strikes the Outpost Liaison in the upper body. F. Yeah, he's not going to live very long, though. He's surrounded by goblins is the problem. And there's two... Like, maybe if it was a 1v1, he could win, but... The thing is, I'm not going out to help. We are staying inside. Because too many of my dwarves are infected with this fever. Although there actually isn't that many of them here. They're all bowmen. But what's going to happen is they're going to run down here and they get to collide with my elephants. So if they win, I'm sure they'll be fine. If they don't win, well then. They seem to be killing my elephants. Well, that's a shame. Although it looks like none of my war elephants are still pastured down here, which is also a good thing. The fact that that Outpost Liaison bit the dude in the head, though, and just shook him around for a bit is kind of great. Actually, look at my military. Maybe I can fight them. Let's try fighting them. Why not? Get up here, dwarves. Let's have a peek at the military real quick. Tuwa, we fight the green G's. Stray llama's found dead. My elephants are found dead. I have plenty of elephants in my basement, so we're not losing elephants. Yeah, okay. Enough. None of them have fever. Okay, so we're okay. We should be able to fight them. All right, so we just wait for this gate to open. When the gate opens, we run out and fight. Chad, I need a round of beers for good luck. Anybody going to go pull that lever? Doesn't look like it. Okay, let's try this again. Oh. They literally just pulled it. Let's jump back down here. Cancel that. Go back up. So now we have to wait for these goblins to show themselves. I think that Crypt Burr bring good luck too. Let's move the dwarves just outside of the fort. Up to here. It looks like Tholteg is doing some work up here, fighting with these goblins. More dwarves come flying out. The siege is almost over already. Dwarves seem to be actually doing a pretty good job, considering the goblin bowman over here is screaming, "How fleeting life is! Begone fear!" The goblin bowman bashes the stray calf, elephant calf, in the foot. You poor elephant. Meanwhile, the dwarf tourist bashes a goblin bowman in the head with her silver warhammer, bruising the skull and jamming the skull through the brain. You gotta love it. You'll love to see it. Specifically, the skull's going through the brain. All right, where's the rest of these twats? Go get these green boys. Go smack them into pieces. Actually, are you actually green? I don't want to be incorrect here. His hair is extremely long. He is tall. His nose is extraordinarily broad. His extremely narrow, small-lobed ears are flattened, and he has a pale He has a broad chin and his lips are thick. His hair is lavender and his skin is pine green. Okay, green boys, get the green boys. Go dwarves, smack him. Kick his ass, as they say. Instead, they're very busy sitting over here, doing not much of anything. There we go. We're moving now. They're finally finished beating the crap out of that dead goblin. I'd say that they were beating a dead horse, but they're actually just beating a dead goblin. Now they're running over there to go save the last elephant child, and the last 2 goblins fly into pieces. Huzzah! I can let the dwarves go back down to training. I think that's all of them. Nope, never mind. There's 3 left, apparently. Let's get down here and kill these 3, who are fighting with another one of my elephants. Turns out, elephants, good distraction. Considering the rest of the dwarves are coming out to go put the bodies away. It's not too hard to finish the last of them. Siege is still going. Excuse me. I guess there still is 1 invader left, but come on. It's probably leaving at this point. Nope, that's an elephant. Where did this goblin go? There you go. Okay. Underneath all the dwarves. And dead. All right. Well done, dwarves. One of my dwarves did get injured, though. Kib over here seems to... their lower leg is cut open. Oh, no. How fragile we are. Beyond fear, they say. Get them saved. Success for the dwarves, I say. Shoutouts to our plump helmet engineer, who, injuries aside, is still carrying a goblin corpse. I like plump helmet men. They're so cute. But all of those bits and pieces are being taken and dumped. They're being placed in... Oh, that's a spot that needs a bunch of stuff cleared out of it. I should probably stop the water flow from here, just so I can redirect it. But if we go down to here, this is where we put dead bodies and such, so we're just going to get all this stuff dumped. Because all of these dwarves, or a bunch of these dwarves, are going to run down here and dump all this stuff. I think that fight went well. I was worried it was going to be like a siege of like 200, which we wouldn't have been able to fight, but... So all of this stuff just gets thrown into lava. It goes straight down to lava. So if I follow one of these goblin corpses, it go, whee! It's great. Good stuff. Your username's funny. How do you get a plump helmet man to take commands? You either need one to show up as part of a performance troupe as a visitor in your tavern or a temple or something, or just as a lone visitor. So you either need them to just show up and be a visitor, or you have to make an adventurer party and then walk to your fortress with the adventurer party and then retire the adventurer party in the zone with your fortress and then reclaim your fortress, which is what I did. That's also how I have 2 elves and some other dwarves from other factions in this fort, which I did because this faction wasn't sending me migrants and seemed pretty dead. But turns out spawning a couple of adventurers at the mountain, or not at the mountain home, but at the hillocks that's just east of the mountain home, and then walking them to the fortress, and then reclaiming this fortress, woke up the faction a little bit, and we're getting migrant waves again. But I don't like the location of this fort at all, so we're going to retire it today and start a new one. Yep. But that's how I did it. And then once they're in your world, as long as they're alive, you can reclaim them as an adventurer at any point. So I could take my group of plump helmet men and other adventurers from this fort and walk them somewhere else later if I wanted, or go to any of the other adventurers that I have scattered around the world. I have a couple bear people elsewhere and a few others. You're off to bed? I'll probably be on when you wake up, Rolf. Probably, I would assume. The plan for this evening is Frozenheim, so... Yeah, I appreciate funny usernames like that, and that is a funny username. Although I did once ban somebody for having a super not safe for work username once. Just because I looked at that and I was like, that seems like a troll. It's like having a funny username either gets you insta-banned or gets a laugh. What, just streaming it a lot? Or the YouTube stuff I do? I just hope that people remember me once the premium version comes out. Because that's a legitimate fear. You're penning and slash pasturing my elephants. Gotcha. Well, thank you. I think those, interviews that I do with Zach and Tarn are some of my best work, so. Well, we'll let the last of this water drain in, and then I think I'm gonna put another spot right there to flood a little bit more. Then we'll go around making this all look pretty. We'll let the bottom half develop stuff for them to graze, because elephants need quite a large area to graze, right? So these are my baby elephants that we are raising. The next Steam news will be a little late, though, which I did mention at the end of the last video, but it'll be late because I'm going to be going on vacation this next week here. So it's going to take a couple extra days for me to get the next one out, because the next one's going to be on Wednesday, and I'm not going to be getting home until, it should be out on Wednesday, and I won't be home until Monday, so... There will be like 3 videos on Monday probably, and then basically the next week, or yeah, actually I guess by Saturday there'll be another Future of the Fortress set of posts. So it never ends. But that's a good thing, I guess, that it never ends. You, over here, we got water down to 2. Okay, so we're going to... I guess just fill in that bit at the end. We're going to make you passable and pet passable. I'm going to fill this in right here. And... guess we go up there one. And up to there. And then we'll dig there, basically. That'll be the next drain that we make. Let's dig further through. Come on. Don't walk away. Finish the job. There you go. Perfect, Dwarf. Well done. But I think this will be the first time that I've been late on a Dwarf Fortress news ever. And I think I've been doing them for about 2 years now, so... Hopefully, me being late once is an acceptable thing for the YouTube algorithm. I'm sure people will still watch it when I get back, but YouTube algorithm sometimes doesn't like people going away, so. I will be cramming this next week to have stuff scheduled for the entirety of the week, but Or this weekend, rather. Fortunately, though, there's tons of demos and other things. It's just a shame that I don't really have any DF videos that I can work on to post during that week. I was kind of hoping that, like, stuff would get announced at, or that stuff would be shown at, like, footage of the game or something would be shown at the fake E3 stuff that's been happening all week, but I think mostly due to the artist shift, nothing ended up happening, so... Which kind of sucks, because I was really hoping that, like, there would be some stuff in mid-June, and then I could just, like, not feel bad about missing a week, but now I'm, like, back to the, what if they announce stuff while I'm gone kind of thing. But I've been assured that it won't be anything major, so... I'm basically, like, freeing up the last half of this summer in the possible thought that, okay, well, Steam might come out this year. And if it does come out this year, then I need to be ready. I need to be home, and my schedule needs to be free. So if I'm going to do any, like, long, more than one day trips or things that I need to plan, I have to do it, like, before late August, because anything after late August, I'm just kind of looking at it now at this point going, we're not quite at anything goes, but we're getting there. So that's kind of where I'm at. Right, so we're gonna spread more water down there to have more grazing space for more elephants. Well, it's not like they're not growing like moss as much as I thought they would. It's strange. I guess it's because it's just muddy water and not dirt. Right, we'll get that last one there. Wait for you to walk through that, and then we will... Actually, I can probably just... Begin the water flows! Let's let you go through there. Perfect. I let this drop down, the floodgates. And... whoosh. There we go. Perfect. And it begins to flow. Also, check. Can we get a round of beers? A little lurky now for some reason. I don't know. Rambling about random stuff. We're going to flood more water down. Then after this, hopefully this will get kind of enough of the middle bits that we can... you know, go around the edges and tile some stuff up and make it look nicer. But we'll just let that do its thing for a little bit. We're going to jump back up here and fill in some of these watery chunks. Also because I was getting questions about the Plump Helmet Men earlier. Fun fact about Plump Helmet Men, they don't get listed as citizens, they get listed as pets. They actually pop up in not under the citizen screen, but under the visitors screen. But in adventure mode, you can give them skills. And if you give them skills, then they can do those skills, but you can't assign new tasks to them because they're technically a pet. Good day, Beermaneer. How you been, man? Last time I talked to you, you were going kind of nuts, stuck on vacation. Have you ceased going nuts? Or have you gone totally nuts and you've... like, evolved into a better format of nut by this point? I don't know where I was going with that, but hi. How you doing, man? What's up? What's the S? That means squads are training. It's basically like a training combat log. So instead of them beating the shit out of each other, it's the Spear Dwarf strikes the Hammer Dwarf, but the shot is blocked. The Hammer Dwarf bites the Spear Dwarf in the upper leg, lightly tapping the target. I don't know how you bite somebody by only lightly tapping the target. The Spear Dwarf misses the Hammer Dwarf. The Hammer Dwarf bashes the Spear Dwarf in the upper body with his Silver Warhammer, lightly tapping the target. Yeah, they're training. You're making metal octopussies right now. I know I misread that as octopussies, but, why? I'm really curious to know what a metal octopus looks like. Is this like Tekid making metal houseplants in his fabrication shop? maybe streamer just really, 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 really badly subconsciously wants cashews, which is absolutely true. Although, aren't cashews not technically a nut? They're technically a bean. So are peanuts, but anyway, whatever. Reading some new algo stuff? Algorithm stuff? What algorithm stuff? Now I'm curious. How's the water flow done? It's spreading slowly. Nice and slow. Part of the reason I'm not using pumps is the system is much easier to keep track of. I don't think love nibbles should be a part of... I don't know if they're affectionate biting. I have a feeling that the biting thing was something that was added in after they taught them how to train. Because usually when you get weird wording like bites the target, only lightly tapping the target, it's probably they added biting into combat afterwards and then didn't think about it. That's usually the way this works with Dwarf Fort. Also, I very much doubt those are love nibbles. Unless that dwarf is constantly lustful, at which point, you know what? I don't know if I want to know then. Continuing to place more gabbro blocks to fill in all this crappy flooring. Let's go dump more corpses. Hey, just an elephant. Bad days. You got like a week of detention because you got caught playing DF in class? That seems a bit harsh. Was this like elementary, high school? I mean, you know, honestly, actually, this is kind of funny. I've heard about a couple of people getting in trouble at school for playing Dwarf Fortress in class, but I know a ton of people who actively play Dwarf Fortress at work frequently, right? None of the people who play Dwarf Fortress at work, I know, have been fired. Like, I've never met somebody who's gotten in trouble at a job for playing Dwarf Fortress. But I've heard of multiple instances of people getting either booted out of classes or put in detention from playing Dwarf Fortress in class. There's a ghost in my fort. It's Manum Oily Tops. Hello, Manum Oily Top. I need to deal with that, I guess. Let's make some slabs. Do it now! I don't know if I have any, so. Where did I put my craft door shop? They look almost identical. I do have some, I just don't know where they are. So I'll make one, that's fine. Actually, wait, is that it? Oh, there it is, duh. Graveyard, sure. Apparently there's multiples, oh shit. After their battle with the goblins? Nah. They definitely got a Viking funeral. Yeah, if you don't make a gravestone, you get ghosts. Or if you don't make coffins, you get ghosts. No, it doesn't. Reinhardt. If you think that... Okay, this is what vanilla Dwarf Fortress looks like. If you think that this looks like an Excel sheet, you've never seen an Excel sheet. Like, if you think that this looks like anything but a video game, you have never seen an Excel sheet. Like, if you think that this... No, dark mode Excel does not look like that's besides the point. It doesn't matter if it's dark mode or not. This doesn't look anything like Excel. If you've used Excel for more than 10 minutes in your life, this looks nothing like Excel. Like if you've had someone come up to you and explain to you the concept of what a spreadsheet is, and then you see this, you might make the mistake. Maybe. But like, if someone is just like, okay, so a spreadsheet is a grid with different characters in it. If that's all you know about spreadsheets, and you think this is a spreadsheet, I think the problem with that workplace isn't the person playing Dwarf Fortress while working on spreadsheets. The problem with that workplace is the management or boss telling you or thinking that that is a... So basically, what I'm saying is if you're at a job, right, and you're getting paid money, and somebody walks up to you and says, oh, you're doing your job. That's work. Carry on. Congratulations. Keep playing Dwarf Fortress, because holy fuck, that's a poorly run business. Jesus Christ, you're working at a terrible job. Unless you're like compiling and you're like working in programming, you're actually waiting for something to compile and there's actually nothing else you can do and you're playing Dwarf Fortress, that's fucking fine. Whatever. But if you're working in a desk job and your management comes by and looks at it and thinks that you're working because they think that that is what you're supposed to be doing in your job, one, your manager should be fired, not you. And two, fucking keep playing Dwarf Fortress because, like, Jesus. Your boss does not have the right to be running that business at that point. Like, it's a shitty boss, and not because they're a bad person, but just because they're too fucking stupid. They shouldn't have their job. Like, do you see where I'm coming from here? Like, at that point, the problem with the job is not you. It's your boss is an idiot. Some people code with red over here and yellow. Back in the day, you were caught playing Minesweeper while you were waiting for an email response from colleagues and you got written up for it? Really? I got written up once for, or at an old job for falling asleep. That is the only time I've ever actually been written up. Actually, although technically, I fell asleep and then when I was woken up by my manager, I told her to fuck off and she wrote me up for telling her to fuck off, not for falling asleep, which I think is hilarious, by the way. Because my response when I woke up at my job was, oh, fuck off. That it was more just because I was mad at myself than anything for dozing off on the job. No, but sex appeal sometimes is. McGar. All right. Let's pull that lever. That should be enough. Go around the edge and make it look prettier, and most of this is now dirt, which is good. Well, sweet. We just need to let that dry up and continue bringing boulders up here. For a popular social media game making company, that their company deployments worked on Excel sheets. You know, on the topic of Excel sheets and getting in trouble at jobs, Microsoft, you own id Software. Why isn't Doom packed in, and Doom 2, ideally, packed in with Excel yet? There's other games in Excel already. There's a movie that's in Excel, if you know how to find it. There's multiple games in Excel already. Why isn't Doom playable in Excel yet? It doesn't need it, like, just why can't I like put a string of code into one cell in Excel and just pop it up full screen into Doom? Why can't I do that? We have the computing power. Doom's a couple of fucking megabytes, if that. Why can't I run Doom from Excel yet? You know, there was somebody in this chat not too long ago who I can't remember who it was. Maybe you're here and you can just pipe up. But there was somebody in this chat not too long ago who got a data entry job and they just automated it. Like, it was just a basic data entry into Excel sheet job, and they, using a few lines of code, just automated the entire job and then got up and walked away, working from home without actually working, because they just automated it and they were getting paid a full-time job for a full-time wage to just not actually do the job because they automated it. I can't remember who that was. I feel bad. But somebody here was doing that. Let's get this corner of the floor smoothing. Am I still making blocks? Yes, we are. In fact, still making blocks. And so many of these dwarves don't have beds. The damn shame. All the green ones don't have beds. Excel devs work in mysterious ways. Excel devs miss obvious fun opportunities, and it makes me sad. I mean, they also technically own Hexen now, so maybe they should just put Hexen into Excel. Or they're about to own Hexen. Maybe like Diablo 1? Speaking of new games, I'm going to go back to complaining about a game that some people seem to think looks good. Why do people seem to think that Starfield looks good? Like, what's wrong with people? That game looks terrible. Like, I rewatched the footage again last night of Starfield. And I've changed my mind on it. I no longer think it looks kind of mediocre. I think it looks bad. Like, I've gone from, oh, this looks mediocre, to, oh, this looks bad. Like, genuinely bad. By comparison to any other space game made in the last 10 years? Like, Elite Dangerous looks better. No Man's Sky looks better. Empyrean Galactic Survival in some ways looks better. Not graphically, but in options, variety. Space Engineers looks better. Star Citizen looks better. This dwarf has gone into a strange mood. Also, do I have... there we go. Sweet. I need to place these up higher, though, which I'm just going to pause the game so that this dwarf doesn't... Like, I'm kind of a X hater of the franchise X. So, like, X Rebirth and X4, I think, was the most recent one. But anyway, I really like those games, even though mechanically they're kind of annoying. Those games look better. So, by comparison to, it just looks like a not very good space game. And it also just looks like, oh, they took all of their previous games and crammed it into a space setting, and that's just very disappointing to me. Sheep's wool cloth and rough citrines. In case you get timed out again. What, are you going to defend it? Do you think it looks good? I don't understand why that would get you timed out. I would like to know why you think it looks good. I just think it looks like another Bethesda game, which is a disappointment. And also, I think it looks like a worse version of other games that exist already. It'll sell fine. People will love it. It's a Bethesda game. but I don't think Bethesda has made a good game since Morrowind. So, you know, there's that. There is that. All right, water is evaporating slowly, meaning can then work around the back, fill that all up with flooring. To each their own? What? Skyrim is just a worse version of the last two games they made. Looks far superior to No Man's Sky? In what way exactly? It looks like a less varied, less interesting No Man's Sky with a boring art style. Like, sure, the view distance is graphically impressive, but compared to any other modern non-indie title, it's comparable at best. The ragdoll physics look awful. The gunplay looks bad. The flight combat looks like a less interesting version of No Man's Sky's already bad flight combat. Sure, you can build your own ships, but you can do that better in a multitude of other games. You mean bland, uninteresting hard sci-fi graphics that don't look as impressive as Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous? And you're saying that No Man's Sky's interesting, stylized indie art style that's completable by a small studio on a large scale is potato graphics? That's harsh and kind of rude, I think. But Fallout 4 is a terrible video game. It's fine that you enjoyed it, but it's a terrible video game. And it's a terrible, dumbed-down, less good version of their previous games, as they've been doing with their past few games. And it's another one of those bad games that Bethesda makes, and that's a bloody shame. And I hope that one of these days Bethesda learns how to make a good video game, because they haven't done it in a very long time. Anyway, Olon, the animal dissector, has created Gan Adamzir, a sheep's wool trousers, and claims it as a family heirloom. Well, that's good. Worth not very much, only 7,660 Zathal. Special Routed is the name of it. These are sheep's wool trousers. All craftsmanship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with radiant citrines, and it is made from sheep's wool cloth. This object menaces with spikes of sheep's wool. But there's many ways already just from that gameplay where No Man's Sky is superior, in that you can drill through a planet in No Man's Sky. You can just start digging. You can manipulate terrain. You can't do that in what's it called? Starfield. Very well rendered sandwich. I still think is the best part of Starfield that they've shown so far. Which was the first thing that they showed, was that really well rendered sandwich. Everything else about that game looks like a less good version of other space games that are already out and cheaper. But you saying potato graphics, I think, is a little bit distressing. I think that's a shitty take, but fair enough. Hopefully you enjoy it. I think that game looks terrible. Why? I still haven't figured out why there's seeds everywhere over here. There's just like fucking rice seeds over here or like grains of rice over here for some reason. Very confusing to me. One of those things that popped up after I reclaimed this fort. Also, I think that you being afraid of being timed out again is a bit pathetic, and which also means you haven't figured out why you got timed out the first time. Just grabbing my glasses cleaning cloth. I'm just too lazy to grab it most of the time. Sec. Air down? Okay. Gorge? Who's Gorge? Hi, cutest. that infect... Hold on a second. I find the graphics of No Man's Sky to be bland, low poly, we can't be bothered to try, in quotes, hand-wave effort that infects indie games of the past 10 years. Holy fuck, that's a bad take. Good God. Wow. Jesus Christ. You're watching a Dwarf Fortress stream. And that's your fucking take? Wow. Wow. I mean, I know that's not yours, cutest. Like, to be clear, I don't like No Man's Sky. But that is your take. I think No Man's Sky is not a great space game. I think it's a great exploration adventure game, whatever. Like, have fun. Not my kind of game. But I acknowledge why people like it. But holy shit. Wow. That is just a bad take. But anyway, what up, cutest? How you doing? I mean, it's an indie game made by 10 people with, like, largely 10 people. Now I think they're closer to 25, but... This minor drama? I don't think there's going to be any drama. I just think that's a bad take. Your moose arrived? Cutest, are you okay? First you call, like, I know that you had a test today. Did the test go badly? First you call me Gorge, and now you're just like, my moose arrived. Your moose, eh? Are you going to say your moose arrived, eh? That's the world that we live in now? It went horrible? Oh God, I hope you're okay. Have you, like, dug into the vodka already? Do you have the results yet? Or are you just saying it went horrible because it was a rough test? Are you talking about Star Citizen, Troop and Panda? Or, No Man's Sky? What are we talking about here? 6 out of 10? Well, at least it's not 2 out of 10. Is that the number of questions you got right or something? And are you trying to argue that No Man's Sky isn't visually distinctive? Is that your argument? Like, say what you want about No Man's Sky, but you look at No Man's Sky and you know that that's fucking No Man's Sky. Like, that's like saying Dwarf Fortress isn't visually distinctive because it uses the same alphabetic characters that most other English games do. Looks like Firewatch in space. Firewatch is one of the most artistically, visually, like, recognizable games made in the last 25 fucking years. Pardon? And you're trying to tell me that that's a bad thing? Firewatch is gorgeous. I am so sorry for your pathetic opinions. Wow. Like, I'm glad I don't live in your brain. Holy shit. That's fine. You're entitled to disagree, but wow. You don't see how No Man's Sky looks like they didn't try. Yeah, I don't see it either. Basically, like, so McGrath's take is low poly equals didn't try / low effort. Like, I'm sitting here thinking about, like, my most anticipated game right now, right? Which is, aside from Dwarf, like, I'm not anticipating Dwarf Fortress because I already play it, but my most anticipated game right now is fucking Gloomwood. Low poly, ambitious game made by largely one person with the help of a second person, right? Like, simple, low poly, nice lighting, amazing audio design, fucking, like, And this is the kind of thing that you say is low effort. This is the problem with these No Man's Sky. Like, I maintain No Man's Sky is one of the most, like, when No Man's Sky came out and got panned because it was a disappointing launch, which, fair, but, like, they've more than redeemed themselves 15 times over by this point. The one thing that game had going for it at the time was its recognizable color palette and art style and visual appeal. The reason I don't like playing No Man's Sky, but looking at this game is gorgeous. It's colorful, it's pretty, it's varied, it has a nice look to it, the music is wonderful, it has this recognizable, distinctive art style, right? Whereas Starfield, a game that I think looks terrible, is the same fucking washed out gray bullshit that every single high budget game has had every single high budget game had towards the end of the mid 2000s. Like, oh wow, lens flares. You got lens flares. Oh wow, fucking gray. That's your color palette. Cool. Anyway, hi Zero. So yeah, I don't know. It's like I am bewildered. Yeah, but much more tasteful amounts of lens flare. It's not like J.J. Abrams levels of lens flare. Anyway, my brain is melting by that low effort, low poly take. All right, so placing more of this. And this. Yeah, you know, honestly, if some people's real life color palette is seeing everything in grayscale and brown, I feel sorry for how your eyes work. I'm almost completely blind and I'm legally blind right now, right? And I see more color than that. That is a bad analogy. So here's the thing, right? McGrar, if you're saying that No Man's Sky, like, we're not even talking about, like, game comparisons anymore, and we're not talking about footage looking bad, right? We're talking about visual aesthetic. If you tell me that a 20-person team making No Man's Sky, making one of the quite literally most ambitious mechanical titles for an indie team ever outside of things like Dwarf Fortress, if you're telling me that their visual style for that game is low effort and bad, fine. But don't start comparing it to a AAA game. Compare it to other games at its scale. You have no clue what a beef Wellington is? Terrible for you beef food that the British think is delicious. For some reason. They're fine. Anyway, all I can say is that is a horrendous take. There are plenty of art styles in games that I don't like. But I'm never going to say that an art style for a game is lazy. They had a style and they hit it. Lazy is like MS Paint. Low poly is never going to be lazy. I will say mechanically, No Man's Sky looks significantly more interesting already, and has been for a long time, than that footage of Starfield looks. You're still salty about No Man's Sky because you pre-ordered the collector's edition? Well, I hope you learned to not pre-order video games and wait for reviews. The reason we're talking about No Man's Sky right now, Zero, I don't know if you can hear me yet. I'm assuming you can, based on the way you were responding. But the reason we're talking about No Man's Sky is a comment was made about No Man's Sky being a cheap, lazy art style. And say what you want about No Man's Sky, but that game's beautiful looking. I don't like its flight mechanics, but it's beautiful looking. Keep telling my friends this for Ubisoft games. He's a Ubisoft fanboy. Just remember, the word fan is derived from the word fanatic. Being a fanatic for something is not good. I will be completely honest right now. The only thing I actually enjoy about No Man's Sky is the soundtrack, because it's a band that I like, and that soundtrack fucking slaps. That's the only thing I unironically enjoy about No Man's Sky, and here I am just defending it. You're a fanatic for Tome? I'm so sorry. I mean, Tome's fantastic, though. I don't think we can agree on anything, McRegar, because, like, I'm not going to time you out for that take, but that is one of the most disgusting opinions I've seen about independent game development, maybe, and just game development as a whole. Period. Like, genuinely. That is one of the most disgusting takes I've ever seen. Especially because, like, I'm talking about footage of a game that's been in development for, what, 7 years? Being disappointing. And your only argument against a superior game is its art style is fugly. Oh, God. Yeah, Tome is Tales of Majel, which is one of the, which originally called Tales of Middle-earth, which was a Angband fork. And it's, you can buy it for $6 or you can play it for free. It's also on Steam. Ignore the DLC though. You'll never see that content because it's so deep. It's basically the closest thing you'll ever get to roguelike Diablo. Proper roguelike Diablo, I would say. It's very much kind of like a hack and slash RPG style of things with a bajillion abilities and 50,000 stats and explosions that fill the whole screen. It's good. It's great. It has 1,700 achievements on Steam. Yeah, but like, when recommending the game to new people who've never heard of it, never tell them to buy the DLC, because 1, they don't need it, 2, it just adds more stuff for advanced players, and 3, you don't need it. Just, if you want to try Tome, play vanilla Tome. It's one of the biggest for sure. It's Dark God has made a hell of a thing with Tome. A bit like Noida, nothing like Noida. Absolutely nothing like Noida. Noida isn't a roguelike, for one thing. Here's the thing, Migrar. Learn to converse in a format that makes you appear an intelligent adult. Currently, you just seem exhausting, and I'm sorry. Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely start for free on the website. And then if you like it, buy it either through the website or through Steam if you want auto updates. Well, if you want like Steam features, but the only difference between the paid and free versions for Tome is the paid version gives you the online connectivity stuff, which is kind of fun. Sorry to derail. The problem that I have with Tome is its like on-ramp for new players is like not very easy. But it's a good game. Oh, it's very much a game that you can sink tons and 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 tons of time into. Which is also part of the reason I don't play it as much as I could. I will say, not my favorite roguelike, but I will acknowledge that Tome is extremely good. Although, you know, since we're talking about ugly games, sorry, Tome's kind of ugly. It's fine. It's a very, as I described it the last time I streamed it, it's a very utilitarian art style. It's very utilitarian. I mean, I love it. It's still ugly. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the way Tome looks. It very much suits Tome. For the same reason that, like, I'm trying to think, what's another game that I would describe as ugly? It's very rare for me to describe the games as ugly, so. For the same reason that I would describe Dawn of Mexica as kind of ugly. But, like, the art style suits it, you know? Like, Tome is ugly. Like, it's aggressively ugly. But its art style suits it. It's a fittingly aggressively ugly game. Does that make sense? Dawn of Mexica is extremely hard for me to enjoy, not because it's bad, but because it's dense and obtuse in ways that other games aren't. Like, all of its mechanics are, like, unique to it, which is cool. All right, actually, no, I don't think... Sorry, I know a guy who works at the... I know a few people who work at Twitch, but I don't actually think I know anybody who works on the mobile app. I'm looking through different roguelikes that I own to try and find another game that I would call aggressively ugly. Oh, here's another game that I think is aggressively ugly. Rogue Empire. I think this game is kind of ugly, but I think that its ugliness suits it. Specifically, certain dungeon layouts, like this crystal layout, pretty fucking ugly. This layout, pretty fucking ugly. I think the character sprites look nice, but I think that large parts of this game look aggressively ugly as well. But, again, I think it suits... I think its art style suits it. You know what I mean? Cogmind? Cogmind is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But Cogmind's UI is made for ants, so I have a really hard time playing it. It's like, I need a fucking magnifying glass to play that goddamn game. Like, I need to sit here with a magnifying glass to play it. There was another game that I played a while ago that I thought was ugly. Oh, that's one of my adventures. Eshton. Rope Tames. Which one were you, Eshton? Crafts Dwarf, right. 54 years old. Yeah, it was originally from the Crimson Pulley. I'll see you later, Red Dragon. You sleep well. All right, you've already got plenty of jobs acquired. you can go work now, which is fantastic. Meditate on torture. How fantastic. How joyous. How wonderful. Also need to give you more jobs because you immigrated here pretty recently. Seeks out exciting and adventurous situations. Screw my old rules. You join the military. Oh, actually, you know what's another game that I would say is ugly, but its art style suits it? I haven't played this, but I did gift it to somebody a number of years ago. This is an ugly game. In that it's very utilitarian. It just looks like software. Like, people say that Dwarf Fortress looks like a spreadsheet. I think that this looks like some weird management software. I'm probably going to retire the fortress today, actually. I don't have any major goals. This fortress is in a weird faction, and the faction is largely dead. And I'm trying to get this elephant breeding ground working, which I'm working on. I've got a bunch of elephants down here, and I'm about to put a bunch more. But I'm trying to get this elephant breeding ground working. But aside from that... There, that's the key I was looking for. Aside from that, largely, I don't really have any plans for this fortress, no. Just, like I said, trying to get this elephant breeding ground down here. And, pretty much it. But, I'm trying to rebuild this faction. And as part of rebuilding this faction... Oh, there's my word. As part of rebuilding this faction, I want to build multiple forts. And this particular fort, I don't like the layout. There's a really annoying lake, literally named the Stupid Lake in the corner. And the Stupid Lake is spreading actual disease, which is uncurable. So I don't like that very much. So I would like it to go away. And I don't want to be next to it anymore. I was kind of hoping it would, like, have zombies or something in it because it's a haunted lake, but... it's just raining repellent ooze that gives these dwarves this flashing X syndrome, which is uncurable, and it gives them a fever, which is a huge debuff to speed, ability to make crafts, and ability to function as a dwarf, basically. Turns out the Stupid Lake, true to its name, is kind of stupid. We built this faction. We built this faction on blood and beard. Zzz. I don't know where I'm going with this. But we didn't build this city on rock and roll. Can confirm that. We built this fortress on Stupid Lake. Yeah, I guess you could do it. I guess it would work. Also, good news, ladies and gentlemen. Starship Troopers Terran Command is out on Steam and doesn't have trash reviews. That is wild. It's like 80% positive. So if you would like to know more, maybe it's actually worth your money. That is weird. It's like 80% positive is, I was expecting in the 70s. I was expecting it to be like mixed. Also, more good news. I was just given a code for it. So I now have it. Maybe we can know more later. Mayhaps we can know more later. See? I am in fact installing it. Also, People Make Games just put out a new video on Ukrainian game developments trying to survive a Russian invasion, which seems wholesome and cheerful. But also I want to see that pretty badly. Also, PAX West badges are on sale. Sure, good luck with that, PAX. I'm good. Hard pass. That's enough email checking for today. Also, your mouse is too small for your hand, cutest? What? Let's go dig out some more bedrooms. Let's go up here. Because these dwarves need more bedrooms, so. Can I just say something now that they've left chat? That person who says that they're tired of being my punching bag. The only person who made themselves the punching bag was them. You know what I mean? Like, the end of the day, if you feel like I'm beating up on you or like calling you out constantly or insulting you, the only person who's at fault at that point is you. And that's kind of it. You have to learn how to put your middle finger on the wheel? Ooh. If anything, in regards to the Starfield versus No Man's Sky discussion that I've seen popping up, I think No Man's Sky should be praised for looking a hell of a lot better than Starfield, mechanically. Visually is like a matter of opinion, and you can say that you don't like their art style, and that's fine. Like, if you don't like the art style in No Man's Sky, that's completely acceptable. But to call it lazy? Cost effective is the word I would use. So. You know that I'm a stand-up cat. Me being called a stand-up cat. Can I just say that if I'm a stand-up cat, then this is truly my home? Hold on, I need to pull up a subreddit for a visual gag, and it's taking me too long. This is my home then. If I am a stand-up cat, then then I just live here now. Oh, I'm counting on it. Honestly, if there isn't GIFs of people poking a starship and it just physicsing into space by itself, they're not going to have any viral marketing for their game, so it has to be littered with bugs at launch. And they will also expect their modders to fix it. Assuming it has mod support, which I don't think they've actually said anything about that yet. And there is a part of me that's wondering if it will. But, you know. I expect it to fail, personally. Because I don't think that Bethesda's learned from enough of their past mistakes. And of course, you can point at me and be like, well, you're biased. Yeah. I hope to be impressed with everything related to Starfield because I like space games. But all I see is a very gray No Man's Sky. Who else would fix the game? You'd hope that they would. I mean, I'm sure that there will be a very large number of people that buy, pre-order, and love that game. I mean, a lot of people have already pre-ordered it. I mean, isn't it like the top-selling game on Steam right now? It was, at least a minute ago. It is... okay, not the top-selling game on Steam. Although a bunch of games just came out. Neon White just came out. Global top sellers. Okay, sorry. It's one of the most wish-listed games on Steam. They don't have pre-orders up for it yet. My apologies. That became bloated, greedy, and lazy? I don't know if I disagree with that. I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with the bloated statement. Well, I mean, the reason I wouldn't necessarily agree with the bloated statement is Bethesda internal development is one of the few AAA studios that hasn't completely overinflated its development team size. And by that, I mean, like, play an Ubisoft game to completion and watch the credits. The credits are like 45 minutes because like 1,000 people work on those games. Whereas internal Bethesda development is still, I think, like about 90 people with some assistance from external studios, but it's still, as far as AAA goes, actually small, which is the problem with Bethesda, is that their internal development has stayed too small and they can't keep up with other bigger games, and they try to, and then they end up releasing hyper buggy messes. But they try and sell them like a AAA studio instead of just becoming a really big, treating it like a really big boutique indie studio. You know? Like, I'm trying to think like what like a bigger indie studio is more akin to what we should be expecting from Bethesda, but instead they've become a AAA studio without actually scaling up to AAA scale, which is why their games are often disappointing. That too. I mean, they're well, I don't know if they're necessarily making games for investors. I don't know if I'd agree with that. If they were making games for investors, then they would just make Ubisoft games. Well, one guy didn't make all the dungeons in Skyrim. That was a team effort, but... Absolutely. No, I would completely agree that ZeniMax has become a bloated and greedy company, but I think they've actually done a pretty good job keeping their internal studio logical. But they don't make good RPGs anymore. They make great modding sandboxes, but that's like trying to compare Gary's mod with Fallout, and that's not really a smart way to do things. Skyrim is okay. Like, I talk a lot of shit about Skyrim, but that's because I played a lot of Skyrim, right? I talk a lot less shit about Fallout 4 purely because I didn't play it. So I don't really have the right to say a lot of shit about Fallout 4. I think that visually that game's bland and ugly looking. I think the music selection was good. And everybody I know who I trust their opinions has said bad things about Fallout. I mean, that's a fact. This is a fact. Gary's mod, better than every single one of Bethesda's games ever, period. Like, yes, Gary's mod is better than Morrowind. And Daggerfall. Fact. But it's also like apples to oranges. Like, you can't really compare the two. Citizenship of Aerith. Another one of my adventurers wants to join the fortress proper. Oh, by the way, also, Todd from Bethesda has stated that they will make another Fallout after they make another Skyrim, by the way. Duh. Yes, that is much more accurate. Oblivion, I would believe that. Bethesda Game Studios has over 420 employees. Yes, but they're also supporting, like, 4 games. Like, their internal, we are making the next big Bethesda game is only about 90 people. Because they're also working on, ever seen Clear Skies? As in, Stalker Clear Skies? Yeah, I've played it. Great game. Buggy as shit. Almost unplayable, but a beautiful mess. Very, very, very fun, beautiful mess. Still can't give you labor. That makes me sad. I'm hoping I'll be able to give them labor or select their jobs once they, But yeah, I've played all 3 Stalker games. I've also played a little bit of Stalker Anomaly. Terrible, wonderful messes. Absolutely garbage success stories. I have very mixed opinions on Stalker, as you might tell. Okay, I've never seen the Gmod Eve Machinima. I'm not much of a Machinima watcher. Esteemed Tin, another one of my adventures. Stalker is are the best bad games ever made. Yes. And I really, really, really hope that Stalker 2 isn't shit. That is all I have to say about everything related to Stalker 2. Please don't be shit. 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 And also, to clarify a few things, the reason I'm looking at Starfield and going, man, that is disappointing, is they have been talking up and down, left and right, about how they've upgraded their engine, streamlined their development process, made that engine better, improved their gameplay mechanics. They've been talking, we need to remember that the last game that Bethesda Game Studios put out is Fallout 76. And yes, that game has its defenders. And yes, some people are unfortunately brainwashed into thinking that that is a good video game. And yes, they put NPCs into it. Yes, they've fixed a lot of the problems. It's a bad game. It's a really, really, really bad game. It's a really, really, really bad game. But people play bad games all the time. I play bad games. There are bad games I like. That's fine. I like BattleTech. BattleTech is kind of a bad game, but I really like BattleTech. Especially at launch. BattleTech was a terrible game at launch. I loved it. I'm not a perfect human being who likes only good games. But my God, they've talked about how they've fixed so many things about it. And then they put out footage of Starfield, and it is slightly more graphically impressive. Fallout in space. That is very disappointing. I was hoping to be blown away and impressed. Instead, I wouldn't even say that I was underwhelmed. I was just whelmed. BattleTech is a terrible game that I love. Like, BattleTech has so many fucking problems. Actually, talking about ugly games, BattleTech's an ugly game. BattleTech has so many fucking problems, even in its finished state with all of the DLC. Like, that game is such a... not great game, but I adore it. I absolutely adore it. Like, actually, you know, honestly, I would say that about every single MechWarrior game I've ever played. I love MechWarrior 2. I love MechWarrior 3. I love MechWarrior Mercenaries. I like MechWarrior 4. I like MechWarrior Online to a degree in places, even though it's god-awful. I like BattleTech. But I don't think any of those games are good. like, genuinely, like, they're all, like, the best MechWarrior franchise games are, like, a 7 out of 10 for me. But I love them. But see, here's the thing. I've read a couple of MechWarrior books. A lot of that lore is bad. Like, a lot of those books are bad. Like, a lot of the MechWarrior lore is bad. There's good MechWarrior lore, sure, but there's also a lot of bad. MechWarrior is like Warhammer 40,000, right? When Warhammer 40,000 is good, it is really, really fucking good. When it's bad, it's extremely bad. The problem is there isn't a lot of MechWarrior. So the scale tips really far in one direction or really far in the other direction, but there isn't as much of a, yeah, well, there's a lot of it. So, like, you can just kind of ignore the bad stuff. It's not even like Star Wars where, yeah, there's a lot of it. Just kind of ignore the bad stuff, right? There isn't a lot of MechWarrior. So you're just kind of fucked. You have to enjoy the bad shit with the good shit, and the bad shit is bad. Anyway. I really wish Twitter, I really wish there was an easier way to block I really wish that there was a way to block announcements about Twitter Spaces because I just don't care. Twitter Spaces. I don't need to know that Dwarf is talking while playing another video game and editing and making his video game. Just don't care. All right. These are going to be some more bedrooms. Smooth these up and make them pretty. Seems like the previous detail floor jobs are getting close to done. Got more elephants down here. Also, all I have to say to that, I know that you're referring to Bethesda when you say hype train, but all I have to say to that is, God, I wish. Vacation's gonna put a dent in my bank account at this rate. We'll be fine. I will go grocery shopping on day one and cook food in the Airbnb. We'll get by. I hope you'll be able to do things like these. For now, you're stuck with Dreamfort for your you're stuck with Dreamfort for your fortresses to not explode. What? What do you mean? Like, why do your fortresses implode? Dwarf Fortress is very, very easy these days. Hopefully they make it harder for the Steam version. And that's, like, not an ironic statement. Am I using mods? Nope. This is vanilla. Completely vanilla. Unless you were asking Toskin that. So that's not what I want to do. Yes. Hey, Darren. How are we? Well, it's not that. It's like moods have been changed to be super... What's the word? Mild. Like, avoiding stress in Dwarf Fortress is actually quite simple now. You just need to make a tavern, you need to make temples, and you need to make sure that 70% of your dwarves have bedrooms, and you won't have a single issue. Oh, also, make sure they have beer. As long as they have alcohol, bedrooms, tavern, and a temple, dwarves are happy. At that point, it's a matter of keeping baddies out of the fort. And that's also pretty easy to do. Drawbridge, locked door, wall. It's pretty easy. Dwarf has given birth to a foal. Well, I certainly hope it hasn't given birth to anything else. But, like, if you need help managing your forts, just, like, yell on Discord. We can help. What kind of fried chicken? Did you get KFC, or did you do something better? KFC is edible, I think. I would describe it as that. God, I still can't get over the fact that somebody said that Firewatch implied that Firewatch is ugly in my chat today. Whew. You know, I think I picked a good day to unban the term oof from my chat. Fun fact, I did that last night. We had some confusion in chat yesterday, and I just got tired of explaining it, so. It is definitely missing color. It's like those fucking Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr. in it. Like, those are fun movies because the acting is good, but they're so bland looking. Like, my dad actually doesn't like those movies just because he doesn't like looking at them. And I'm kind of with him. It's devoid of color, and it also, like, you saw the bit where he mines the, like, scans the environment and mines the crystals on the wall? It's the same fucking mining that every single indie space game with less money has. Which is fine, but you're a AAA game that people have been waiting 7 years for. 7 years. Oh yeah, Stationeers is a better. There's another example of a low poly game that's beautiful that is better. Like just remember, Fallout 4 came out November 9th, 2015. '76 was made by a different studio. So it doesn't really count because it was their different studio that made it. There's like 5 people making that game. Yeah, and one of them actually frequents this chat. I never out him, but one of the studio leads at Rocket Works, who actually maybe I don't know if he's on their other game now, but one of the studio leads at Rocket Works is one of my subs. Speaking of games that are ugly, SS13 is fucking ugly. Holy shit, but very different game. It's hard for me, like, to me, it's easier to compare Space Station 13 to Among Us than it is to compare it to Stationeers. But I know what you mean. Similar, like, insanity with depth of mechanics, yeah. Well, the reason people compare those two is because when Stationeers was first announced, it was supposed to, and it's just like saying you prefer apples to SUVs. Totally. But, like, fucking SUVs. When Stationeers was first announced, like, it stated that it was inspired by SS13, which is true. It is. It has very similar cabling mechanics. It has very similar, like, the way it does its floor and decompression mechanics is very similar. Like, under the hood, there's a lot of ideas in Stationeers that are very similar to SS13, and theoretically, if Stationeers releases, it could have a mode that is the same as SS13, in that you could theoretically have 50 people in a space station doing the exact same things because of how the game works mechanically under the hood. Is it currently similar in its gameplay right now? Absolutely not. But with the initial it's like me saying that I'm disappointed by Space Haven because it was announced to be inspired by Dwarf Fortress, but turns out it's like got more in common with The Sims than Dwarf Fortress. Is it actually similar to Dwarf Fortress right now? Absolutely not. Is it fair for me to say that I prefer Dwarf Fortress because that's what they sold the initial concept on? Yes. It's just like me saying that I prefer Dwarf Fortress to RimWorld because RimWorld sold itself on being inspired by Dwarf Fortress, even though it's almost entirely different. So I understand where Toskin is coming from, but I also agree with you, Brahms, that it's like comparing an Apple to an SUV. That too, yeah, space-based DF9 as well. Also, you know, I forget about space-based. Do I own space-based DF9 still? I can't remember if I removed it from my Steam library or not. I might have. You know what I need to do? Chat, I think I need to take one for the team. I think I need to buy space-based DF9 again. Because it's still for sale. And stream some of this at some point. You know, looking at this now, too, really makes me go, oh my god, this is actually, like, so similar to Space Haven in its visual style. And yeah, Space Haven's a much better game than DF9. Like, I'm not... Like, wow, actually. Damn. Anyway. Back to this. It just lacks the bridge between early and late game right now. What, for Space Haven? I need to go back and play it because I haven't played it in about over a year. But the last time I played it, I was very disappointed by its lack of depth in mechanics. The combat was weak and not fun. It just felt aimless and didn't feel like it knew what it was, if that makes any sense. Like, it kind of felt like it was trying to be a very casual game because that studio's made a number of games in the past, right? They're all very, 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 very lightweight and casual. It kind of felt like they were trying to make a hardcore game, but ended up not. If it feels directionless still, I'd probably still feel the same way about it. But yeah, it's been a while. And the reason it's been a while was that was a game I was pretty disappointed by as well. I backed it on Kickstarter. I actually interviewed the developer of it before it came out. Early games usually tense in games like that though. But often tense and optimizable. Anyway, I don't know. I haven't played it in a while, so I don't really have a take on it currently. Much more, I'm currently still just disappointed by Starmancer, which was another game that I backed on Kickstarter, which I was also disappointed by. You mean tense? Okay, well, that's good. That's good. I'll probably go. I basically, like, when I played it last, because I played it right at launch, and then I played it about 6 months later after their, like, second major update. And I basically stated, I will play this again in, like, whenever it really leaves early access. I will play that thing again when it leaves early access. Yeah, see, I don't think that's fun. Like, there's a difference between tense, fun tense, and then just, well, this isn't fun. And that would fall under the, well, this isn't fun category in my brain. So. I really need more dwarves doing stone detailing. So let's run down the list here and give a bunch of people stone detailing, because I really need to get this stuff done. Otherwise, it's going to take 10,000 years. Like, all these crafts dwarves can have stone detailing, and they'll like it. Well, actually, no. Mayor shouldn't. Do I have a mayor's office? I might not. Nope, I don't. Okay. I'm sure it is. Like I said, I will ignore that game until it's out. I love that I can see skills for Plump Helmet Men, but I can't actually select them. Sad. There we go. Now we've got a decent number of dwarves working on these floors. What, Space Haven? In the meantime, the last time I spoke with the team working on it, they basically stated that they had enough money just from the launch on Steam to develop the game for another 6 years. So, unless they've burned through that, I would assume that they're doing fine. And it still seems to be selling pretty well. I mean, it's got 75 reviews in the past 30 days, which would be reasonable to believe that they are doing well. I mean, they've got, what, 5,000 reviews? Plus, they also, you have to take into account that they, wow, now I get notifications on my phone that Dwarf is doing a fucking Twitter space. Plus, you also have to keep in mind that they have, what, Battle Void Harbinger and Battle Void Sector Siege, which admittedly have mixed reviews on Steam, but are also available on phones and very successful. So I'm sure that they're doing fine. The money can just disappear. Well, that's how lawsuits happen. You really look forward to Toady sharing the news about how much initial the Steam launch is going to bring in? You know, there is a statistic that flies around the internet pretty frequently, Brahms, which is simply that games on Steam usually on launch sell about 20% of their wish lists. 20 to 30% of their wish lists on launch day. Okay? So, on launch day, games on Steam sell approximately 20% of their initial wish lists on the launch day, or on the day that they open up pre-orders. That's a pretty consistent statistic for Steam, right? Dwarf Fortress is on about 2 million people's wish lists from a number of sources, okay? Plus, on launch day, games tend to significantly increase their number of wish lists, right? And then those wish lists then purchase games on kind of a rolling scale every sale. Plus, you get a lot of sight unseen sales, which is usually larger than the number of wish list sales that you got. So these are people who didn't have the game on their wish list that bought it on launch due to it showing. Well, Barotrauma is a very highly selling game. I'm sure that game's doing fine. Games that launch on Steam and then continue, rather to get, and then when you're on Steam and you pop up in the top sellers screen, game sales then inflate based on people who didn't find the game before it was in the top sellers. Dwarf Fortress should do just fine. If Dwarf Fortress doesn't sell any copies outside of its one launch window, it'll probably already do just fine. Oh no, we're getting bitten by cave spiders. That sucks. There's a permanent affliction that you get from getting bit by cave spiders. Cave spider syndrome. It's terrible. So yeah, I would say it's pretty safe to assume that post-launch Steam Dwarf Fortress will do just fine. That is a pretty safe assumption to be made. I don't know. I didn't like Barotrauma. It kind of made me nauseous and didn't feel good to play. So I played about 4 hours of that on a stream with some friends and wasn't a fan. I'd rather play SS13 for that kind of thing. It's a good game, though. I understand why people like it. It's just not for me. Yeah, no, that game's got 21,000 reviews. That game is totally fine. Yeah, it's that kind of game. It'll kill you in the tutorial. Like, it's a game that you need to learn how to play. The camera movement. The way the camera moves is what made me feel sick. And there's multiple camera adjustments. It's like the frequent zooming in and zooming out, the sway of the camera combined with the character model animations. Like that probably had something to do with it, but I got really nauseous really quickly playing that game. Like really nauseous really quickly playing that game. I'm not totally sure exactly what it was, but it was like a combination of the camera movement and just the way the camera operates in that game and the actually, you know what? Let's make these all out of earthquakes. Let's make these yellow. Combination of the camera movement and the character movement made me nauseous. It was also a little while ago, so this was like over a year ago. Well, I mean, the sub only has like 6 people on it, whereas the space station in SS13 has like 50. So, you know, obviously it's gonna be smaller. But that's why SS13 is fun to me, is you are basically talking to new people constantly, right? Like the fun bit about SS13, and this is why I prefer SS13 to something like Among Us, is it's always interaction with new people, right? So if you're annoyed by a group of people or annoyed by what somebody's doing, or you don't like the way a certain part of SS13 is working, you can just go somewhere else. Because you're a cog in a machine in SS13. But I don't know. One of those games I enjoy, one of them is just not for me, so I don't really have a... I don't want to have a horse in this argument because it's just gonna end with me bashing a game that just is great by all accounts, but I don't like because it made me motion sick, so... Yeah. But I can see what you're saying. Makes sense. Hmm? Sounds like a grand old time. Promise. An elf trader is fighting with a human merchant. So, some magma crabs got into my basement, apparently. And killed some elf traders that were hanging out from when the fort was retired. Seems like someone got magma shot at them. Looks like one of my elf adventurers just caught fire. That's unfortunate. Oh, never mind. You're not on fire anymore, but you are spreading blood literally everywhere. What part of you is ripped open? The upper body is running with their elf blood, and their upper body... Oh, your upper body is melted. How are you not dead? Heavy bleeding. Yes. Did you just survive that? Oh, okay. So, you know how a little while ago, right? There was the meta in Dwarf Fortress was that you set your dwarves on fire and it burns out all their fat. This dwarf caught on fire, or no, not this dwarf. This elf caught on fire enough to melt all of their fat out of their body and bleed a bunch, but it didn't actually catch their skin on fire. So they're totally fine. I saw this elf catch fire. But they're totally fine. Turns out that might still be the meta for combat. That is very rare, yep. I would almost dare to say that that is almost impossible nowadays. That is really funny. That is really, really funny. Oh, also, something I should mention. If you type in !long death now, attached to that command is the save file for long death. So if you want to mess around in that world, you can just grab it from the chat now. Yep, they did make it. They healed. The bleeding stopped. That's just an artifact of Dwarf Fortress's weird body systems. Oh, hey. The Forgotten Beast, Thol, has come, a towering theropod with lidless eyes. It has 3 stubby tails, and it belches and croaks. Its eyes glow golden yellow, and its feathers are long and sparse. Beware its poisonous bite. I don't know what a theropod is, but there you are. It's a T. Isn't that a Tyrannosaurus? Or something? What the hell is a theropod? Anyway, it's just gonna run around and do its thing. Their name is Mountain. Ah, gotcha. Kill it with fire? Probably. Or I can just let it go out and die. My mayor has been reelected. Great! I'm sure everybody's thrilled. I'm deconstructing the upper mason shops and moving them underground. I'm also going to get rid of this boulder stockpile. We're going to move those boulders underground as well. I've never seen a single second of Beast Wars. I've seen the toys. Hold on. Sauropod. What is a sauropod? Hold on a second. Let me find that guy's description again. Theropod. Okay. Theropod. Type of dinosaur. Okay, so I wasn't too far off, actually. It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex, yes. It's like it's a T-Rex thing. T-Rex is a theropod, but not all theropods are T-Rexes. It's one of those. Open image. These are not feathery enough, but they're the best I have. So 3-legged, tiny arm dinosaurs. Not necessarily tiny arms, But ostrich is a theropod. T-Rex is a theropod. Burbs are theropods. So it's something like this. These are theropods. So it could be a T-Rex. It's probably a T-Rex-ish thing, but definitely should have feathers. Although maybe it's skinless, I don't know. Well, naturally. Naturally. Well, I mean, I would say a T-Rex probably had feathers too. So. Can I just say that I love that for some people it's still kind of controversial to state that T-Rexes probably had feathers. I genuinely think that that's funny. I don't know why, but it's just like some people still think that that's like a controversial thing to say. And that amuses the hell out of me for some reason. It's like borderline Schadenfreude. Also, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff moving. Yeah, I think that... okay, you know what's scarier than a bird? A bird with its feathers going... running at you. What's scarier than a scaly dinosaur? A scaly dinosaur with a fucking mane of feathers running at you. Like, way more scary. Hey, Hoshan. Oh, you mean like elephants? Wasn't the Earth, like, cooler on average when the dinosaurs were a thing? I mean, just because dinosaurs had feathers doesn't mean they were covered in feathers. Also, aren't feathers, like, very temperature wicking? Like, they wick... Like, it's a way of staying cool, is having feathers? Oh, no. Cutest ghost was missing for a week? They must have gotten torched. Sorry, cutest. I think you're dead. Well, actually, you are dead. It's a damn shame. Cutest Ghost and Cutest Ghost's child must have gotten torched because they were both metal workers. You bet the woolly mammoth was pretty warm though? Well, that's because the woolly mammoth was in the like Ice Age. That was like the whole point. Well, I mean, that's the same reason why, like, dragonflies, you know? Like, well, damsels, I guess, but dragonflies, were, like, had a wingspan of that. Like, we have, fossils of dragonflies and damselflies that were, like, that big. Yay big. Well, I mean, they have hair, but, like, that's like saying that hairless cats have hair. They have, like, they have little bits of hair in places. In regards to elephants and hippos, but it's very, very small amounts. But anyway, damselflies, they had a wingspan of that, and like that's why there were flying creatures in the age of dinos that were much bigger than would be able to fly now because they have. Or rather, there was more oxygen, meaning they had more lift. Anyway, this is an odd discussion. I don't know. I'm not an intelligent person on this subject, but I think that feathery dinosaurs are way cooler in concept than just like from a coolness factor, like, you know, explosions are cool kind of way. Oxygen. Oh yeah, I mean, if there's more oxygen in an atmosphere, things can absolutely grow bigger. Yes, caverns are sealed. The reason the caverns are sealed is because my military is gimped because all we have is silver, and half of my military has fever. Because a large portion of my dwarves all have a fever because of that stupid lake. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about with dragonflies and damselflies being like, you know, half a meter in wingspan. One of my favorite remnants of ancient times, actually, are let me see if I can find these. Yeah, these fuckers. Darth Vader of the Sea. That's a funny headline. These things. These giant isopods that live at the bottom of the ocean. These things. These things. Like, they're relatives of pillbugs that live at the bottom of the ocean, and they're like that big. Like, they're huge. Every now and again, one will wash up on the shore. And they're massive. Quite literally, yeah. Hey, Gold Poke. But far too willing to munch anything and everything. Oh, definitely if you were to cuddle with a live one, it would munch on you. Although, the last time I was at our local aquarium, I watched because the last time I went to the aquarium was like, probably close to 10 years ago now. But they had a bunch of dead ones on display. And they were selling life-size plushies of them. So you could absolutely get a big cuddly one. Just simply get yourself a life-size plushie one. What is the fort? The fort is an attempt to rebuild the Plank of Nations, which is a dwarven faction, which is run by a Gelder queen and seems to be dominated by female dwarves, which is a very strange thing. Also, all of their gods are female gods of torture and misery and death, which is also lovely. Although recently we've been getting more male members of the fortress, which is good, frankly, because we need babies. Yeah, it's a strange fort. So I've been referring to it as a cult fort just purely because all of their gods are weird, evil, murder, death, and torture and misery gods. Stupid Blockbuster? What? Oh, right, yes, Blockbuster. Mm-hmm. I should change that to GameSpot. Or GameStop, not GameSpot. GameSpot's a website. GameStop's a company. It should be bankrupt, but instead a bunch of people invested money and shorted the stocks. And, well. Instead, just a bunch of hedge funds went out of business. Which I think good riddance, but. Company. Yes. That's a good way to put it. But that's kind of the short version of this fort. Initially, when we embarked here, there wasn't much activity in the faction itself. Aside from that, one of my previous dwarves, actually, which is kind of funny, one of my previous dwarves is now the outpost liaison of this faction, Wilmer, which is kind of fun. So because Wilmer is the outpost liaison, I actually get to see one of my previous dwarves. Also, Cussy in this world has become the outpost liaison. I should actually like let them know that their dwarf has become the outpost liaison. They wanted their dwarf to be a religious dwarf, but they became the outpost liaison of this faction because the other one just died. But you know, so that I'm having a hard time braining right now for some reason. Brain is being slow. What's more religious than trade? I guess if trade is your religion. I guess that's kind of like, you know, saying something like, killing is my business and business is good. Trade is my religion and trade is good. It's like the only song I kind of like by Megadeth. Do not like Megadeth very much, but killing is my business is all right. Heading out to pick up stuff for dinner and then my boy from daycare. You have a good one, Brahms. Thanks for hanging out, dude. Sorry I missed that. I may have missed you, but like I said, brain is slow today. I think I need that vacation. Like, it's going to be a stressful experience for me to be separated from Twitch for a while because I get separation anxiety from my job, which means I really, really care and I really, really like my job. But I do get separation anxiety from my job. So the problem with getting separation anxiety from my job is it's hard for me to take vacations because I find vacations kind of stressful. But I will do my damnedest to enjoy it, and I will hopefully have fun. Hopefully have a good time while I'm there. It's like the irrational stressors of like, will anybody still be here when I come back? Oh God, that kind of thing. But hopefully my concerns are not legitimate. Should be fine. Should be fine. Everything should be fine, right? Putting all them blocks away. These elephants look happy, though. Should put some farmer... What's the hotkey for farmer's shop? Farmer's Workshop W. Some farmer's workshops down here. Can you milk elephants? I know that's a weird question, but in Dwarf Fortress, I think it's a perfectly reasonable question. Can you milk elephants? Anybody know? Also gonna move our farming into here. No, it's literally exclamation point vacation. It's literally like this command says. 20th to the 26th. I will miss 1 week of streams. I will be back on the 28th. You used to get separation anxiety from work? I feel like it's a pay thing. If you are stable financially and you take a vacation from work, you can't milk elephants? Well, I guess we'll just have to stick to the llama's milk then. That's a mod I should make. I should make milkable elephants. What is there? Huh. Well, obviously, I guess, well, steel breastplate made it down there. That's unfortunate. Magma crabs' corpses give off miasma even if covered in lava. Today I learned. You're awake again? You fell asleep? I guess my stream was very soothing. That or it was the beer. Beer 100%. Gotcha. Well, good morning. Diamond, go get some water. You probably need it. But yeah, I honestly, the majority of my separation anxiety from work probably comes from the fact that, you know, my income isn't stable, right? Like this month, due to completely logical reasons, I've lost like $150 a month in patrons. Because I had 2 people basically just reach out to me and say, hey, like, I need to move my finances around, which is perfectly reasonable. I think in both cases it was gas costs. It's like I need the extra $25 a month to put in my gas tank now, which is totally fair, you know. So like I've lost some pretty heavy hitter patrons, and I had one move down 2 tiers, which is completely reasonable. But because I live on a purely donation-based income, it's like money's stressful. So that's the source of my separation anxiety from work, is purely financial. But, you know, at the end of the day, we'll be fine. I'll come back and we'll be good. The alpacas, cows, donkeys, goats, horses, kangaroos, llamas, camels, pigs, sheep, water buffalo, yaks, and tapirs? And of course, purring maggots, naturally. Although, can you actually milk purring maggots right now? I thought that was bugged. You're looking to buy an electric bike to ride the bike to work? Is it too far of a distance to, like, what's the word? Buy a bike? 12 miles? On a bike, that's not far. Like, I used to ride my bike to work, and it was like 20... Because before I moved out of my parents' house, I rode my bike to work, and it was like 29 kilometers? Uphill. And that only took me about 40 minutes. But, I don't know. I guess it depends on where you're biking at that point. But only untamed ones found in the wild? So you basically can't. Okay. You know, I'm totally fine with purring maggots not being milkable, because that whole concept is just so fucking disturbing to me, but at the same time, they should be milkable. It's a dwarven staple. I will just opt to not, because that shit is gross to think about. Uphill both ways? Oh, naturally. No, getting there was uphill, and it took me about 40 minutes. Getting back only took about 20. Because it was all downhill. It was so fast getting home. Like, it was all along a highway, right? And so it was just on concrete on a bike. And it's like, I was passing cars, and not quite passing cars. I was passing cars as they slowed down for the light, and I had a green light. So I was passing cars, asterisk, and biking fast. That wasn't the road that I got pulled over with for a speeding ticket, though. That was the way home from the lake, which was a much shorter trip. That was about 4 kilometers. It took me, again, about 30 minutes to get there, because it was up a much steeper hill, and about 8 to 10 minutes to get back. Because it was just like, oh, wee. I was riding my dad's fancy racing bike and passed a car and zipped past through a stoplight and got pulled over for speeding. Also for going through the stoplight. But he let me off with a warning, basically saying, hey, like, maybe don't go that fast for your own safety, because I didn't have a driver's license, so he couldn't ticket me because I didn't have a driver's license yet. And didn't end up getting one. Trazuka, the militia commander, has bestowed the name Bubnun's Cereal Bubnun's Cyril upon a bronze shield. I don't know what Bubnus means, but Bubnus is a good name. A speeding ticket while riding a bike. Fact, yep, that happened. I did that. Let's make some lead buckets and milk some llamas. What do you guys think of my elephant enclosure? It's not much of an enclosure. They're well-trained elephants. Don't mind the miasma up top. It's fine. Good idea for the elephants. It'll take so long to raise them. It's full grown, though. You know, a lot of streamers, they talk about very streamer-focused gear. And I see people talking about this shit. I get so excited. That looks real good. That's all I have to say about that. This shit looks so nice. Look at that. Anyway. I shouldn't complain about money and then also show that in a few sentences because that's silly. To be fair, you've seen some cyclists that deserve to have their bikes impounded for safety as well as the safety of car drivers. Usually, if cyclists deserve to have their bikes impounded, the problem isn't the cyclist. The problem is almost always the design of the road. Almost always. Of course, there's exceptions to every rule. But the vast majority of the time, it is the problem of the road, not the problem of the cyclist. I think that cars should have, like, drivers should all have their cars impounded so that we can just have safe roads for cyclists, but... Also, yeah, that makes sense. You almost want, like, an electric dirt bike at that point, then. If it's a lot of, like, hills and bad roads and that sort of thing, you almost want, like, an electric dirt bike. Which they do make. They make 100cc electric dirt bikes that go... And they sound like a electric toothbrush on steroids pretending to be a pod racer. But, like... You know, they're cheaper to fuel than a gas-powered dirt bike. They practically charge with micro USB. Could you imagine having a vehicle powered by micro USB? It'd take a very long time to charge it, but... All right, chat room. I've kind of finished the thing that I wanted to finish with this fort. I'm sick and tired of this fort, I'll be completely honest with you. I think that we're going to let Drowned Waters exist in the background simulation of the world. We might come get some of these adventurers later, but I'm sick and tired of this fort. I think I'm going to retire this fort for the time being. We might come back to it again, but I kind of don't want to empty it out. Sure, but I'm talking about the part of the world that Orange is from. I don't know where you live, Troopin' Panda, right? It's possible where you live, those who should have their bikes impounded are just ignoring all cycling rules. But at least here, bikes that are ignoring cycling rules are avoiding dangerous roads, generally. Generally here, it's like, oh, if you're riding on the sidewalk, it's probably because the road is too dangerous to drive on, and that's usually the case. So yeah, I'm going to retire this fortress. When I come back from my lunch break, because I am, like, spacing out probably because I need food. When I come back, we will build a new fortress, same faction, same area of the world, different fort. Sound good? Hope that sounds good to you guys. While we can remember it fondly, totally. No, I mean, it's they're There is small fortress by the stupid lake raising an elephant army underground for us. We're gonna go elsewhere. Because it's stupid fucking lake. At least the lake lived up to its name, though. It's truly a stupid lake. I'm gonna go get a sandwich and maybe an apple. I'll be heading out now. Thank you very much for hanging out, Aqua. You're awesome. Cheers, friend. Thanks for all the support of the stream over the years, and I will see you when I come back from my vacation. Five Night stuff will be up on YouTube till then. But I'm gonna leave you guys with some tunes.